everybody. Victory Monday, Roar the Lions UK, Matthew Turner, Anthony Fitzpatrick, hopefully Ryan to join us shortly. A little bit of chat before we start here. Hope you've had a good Monday. I have. How have you been, Ant?
Oh, I've been really good, thank you. It's been snowing a lot around here, so kind of had just like a cozy day in, brewing up mulled wine and watching the Lions pummel the Vikings again because, basically should call that game yesterday sort of like a porno almost. One team got completely screwed, and we were the ones doing the screwing. So, yeah, good day. Enjoyed it.
Hmm. Sorry, so many things come to mind. Oh dear. Something about the Vikings. Yeah, anyway.
Dan does Detroit.
Oh, guys, hope you're all doing well there. It's been a terrific Monday to be a Lions fan. As always, I'm struggling with an episode title. I know that I should do better, but it's pretty hard. If you've got a good one, it's going to go in. At the moment, we're at the Norse Frauds Fall, or some variation of that. Ant wants to put in a Lord of the Rings reference in there. Can you do better? If you can do better, we'll get that on the show.
Where was Gondor when the Norse frauds fell? Yeah, that's it. I'm getting scared that if like the Lions keep winning many more games, I am going to turn into a Christmas tree. The rate I'm having to add shit to my outfit.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
I refuse to do baubles. I was told lights last week, so I said I'll do lights this week. So I've got lights.
Oh, I can see. I didn't even see them before.
Yeah,
I love it.
You'll see them. They sort of they're on the weird setting where they just do little bits of everything. So yeah, I said I do lights, got tinsel. So yeah, Lions, stop winning games because I'm having to carry on. I have to keep doing up my gob for these things. I couldn't go out today because the snow's been bad, so I was just like, all right, I'm gonna have to make do with what's in the house.
Two good suggestions in there. Well, I think one's good, but I don't really know to who it's referring. Dan Pask
if it's from Ash, then no.
No, Dan Pask says there's something about Jalen, but I don't. Who's Jalen? Which one's Jalen?
Rhaegar.
Jalen. Oh, that's the one. I don't even acknowledge.
Oh, is that a play of There's Something About Raven? That's cool.
No,
I used to watch
There's
There's Something About
Mary,
Raven.
Is it not? It's That's So Raven.
Oh, That's So Raven. That's so. Why do we do That's So Jalen then?
Yeah. Or Mike's come up with a good one. Mike Lucci says Miga Riga. Miga Riga.
Someone put up something yesterday that I was. Oh God, what was it now? Oh, there was a real good one someone put up on Twitter yesterday, which I said I was going to remember, but I've forgotten.
Detroit. No, sorry. James Burgess has said, Lord of the Rings related. Ride now for wrath, for ruin, for a 23% chance of making the playoffs. Which I love, but it's not. That's not Vikings enough. I don't think, but I love it. Oh, Lucci's coming up with Saul's Jewels. Which
Ragnar Lostbrook. I've not thought of a college one this week.
Oh no! So you haven't even started your prep then?
Well, no, because there's no games anymore. I just tape watching players now, and I can do that whenever I want. Unless you class Army and Navy, but speaking of, those kits are sick. Anyone can get their hands on any variation of that uni from Army this year, then get it and send it to me. I'll love you forever. It's such a beautiful shirt.
Well, Ryan's going to come on in a second, completely disagree with you, I'm sure. Your name is...
No, Ryan doesn't disagree. Ryan doesn't like the big numbers on it or the little yellow crest on it. He likes the colour scheme, just not the bits on it.
Do you know how to change your name on Zoom, by the way?
I'm usually myself, but I think because I've been doing the college show, it's...
Yeah. If you click on participants, and then if you hover over the Rural Alliance name, there's 3 dots on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And then you can change it there. Just something I noticed before, and it's probably easier for the viewers to have your actual name on it. Happy Victory Monday, Ryan.
Happy morning. Happy Monday, guys. This is becoming quite a regular occurrence. It just feels like a normal Monday.
I don't appreciate Ant's name, but I also, it's never going to get normal for me. Even if we win 12 or 13 games in a season one time, winning will never feel quite normal.
I don't know if that's sad or not.
Yeah, probably.
I tell you what, I'm getting very used to this. Victory beer, victory dressing up, all this sort of stuff. It's good fun. Better than just coming down here and whinging all the time.
Brent wins. Brent has the new name.
I mean, I do like whinging, but I also like it when there's not a lot to whinge about. I like complaining more than anything, but...
Oh, dear.
Were you laughing at the name?
What name?
Oh, no. Never mind.
Oh, no, I was laughing at Ryan, because I know Ryan does love to whinge.
Well, yes. Grandizer basically watches the show for Ryan's rants. We know that.
Well, he's going to be disappointed, because as long as we keep winning, like, I can't really justify anything. But when we lose, then that's it. I can go... all hell can break loose.
But you're all in on the train now. You're all in on the playoff train. You said so.
I think we have to win out. I don't think 9-8 will be enough.
I think
it's gonna be a weird dynamic if we lose. Are we all just gonna like vent all our frustration out in one show and then go back to winning again and just do that?
I mean, I don't care if we don't make the playoffs. Like, I'm not interested if we don't make them. I fully think we can now. If we're going to lose a game, I'd rather it be the Panthers. I'd love to beat the Jets, the Bears, and the Packers.
Out of those 4 games, and I don't think many people would have said this beforehand, like a few weeks ago, I've been pretty much saying it all year. I think the Panthers is the hardest game in that 4-game stretch remaining. Like, they are playing complementary football. They are running it down people's throats who are meant to be good at run defense. And they legitimately had a good roster that was being entirely mismanaged, which means they're better than their record. The Packers are starting to get a bit better again, which is annoying. The Bears could run it all over us with the quarterback, but I still think the Panthers are going to give us the most trouble.
I can see that. The Packers will have no reason to rest anyone. And if they can stand between us and making the wild cards, they're going to fucking well do it, aren't they?
Yeah.
They'll throw everything at it. They'll do it just to spite us. Aaron Rodgers will play every snap, and Jordan Love will sat there like a sad puppy.
My biggest fear going into the last few weeks is it's the Bears who are going to screw us over, and they're going to be even more insufferable than usual. That's where I'm getting scared now. So I kind of almost want to lose the playoff chance so that they don't have, so that they can't do that to us.
So I think 9-8 gets in. That's where I'm at. That's what I'm operating from at the moment. I just think I fancy Arizona tonight, which is a kind of annoying. That doesn't really change anything. But going forward, we need Washington, the Giants, and Seattle all to just lose as many games as possible. And Seattle have the tiebreaker on us, but we have the breaker on the Giants and the Commanders. So, you know, I know the tie is kind of annoying, but it's not really. Seattle losing yesterday was huge.
Where are we at on the season predictions?
I haven't even tried to look at it at the moment. I'll have a look now.
I'm very close. I said 8-1. I am almost on the cusp. I could call it perfectly.
No, Ryan. You're not having a tie, Ryan. No.
Lions season prediction.
Our playoff percentage goes to 50%. If we beat the Jets, the 49ers win, and the Commanders beat the Giants, we go from 22 to 50% chance of making it in the remaining 3, which is pretty big odds.
But I think, Carson Wentz has come back today, so just in time to tank the Washington season.
Right, so we lost to the Cowboys and the Dolphins. We beat the Packers. What did we do against the Bears? We lost.
Beat the Bears.
We beat the Bears.
We beat Bears.
Ugh, I'm completely losing the thread. We beat the Giants. We lost to the Bills. We beat the Jags. And then Ant is wrong there. So, Ant, you are 9-4 on your prediction so far, which is not bad. I'll do this later, but basically, Ant, you had 8 total wins. Ryan Farden had 7 total wins. Ryan had 8 total wins. Steve had 8 total wins. Tom had 7, and Martin had 8.
You went 9, didn't you?
I went 10.
Well, it seems like the general
call it perfectly.
Odds are most of us call it perfectly. 2 more wins.
So, I just think that the schedule was hard enough for all of Seattle, the Giants, and Washington for them all to end up around 8 and 9.
But we've got 3 road games now in the last 4, so.
And we should be favoured for all 4 games. In the last 6 weeks, we're a top 8 side in the NFL.
Are we at the Panthers?
At Jets, at Panthers, home against the Bears, at Packers.
Oh yeah, we should be 2-score favourites against the Bears. But
I think that's a bit much.
Can you imagine having, going to Lambeau with something on the line for us? Usually we go and spoil their end of season when they're ready for the playoffs or something. They will be absolutely 100% ready to give it us back in kind. But if we could go there and beat Aaron Rodgers and get in the playoffs, I mean, that'd be the fucking sickest victory of all time.
I saw several people at the start of the year saying that they're buying tickets to go to Lambeau for Week 18, and we'll be out of it, but at least it will be an interesting game and a historic place to go to. And now suddenly that might actually mean something for us and not them.
Hell, I might consider selling a kidney so I could try and go over and see it.
That'd be really special. That would be really, really special. Right. Are you guys ready to go?
I mean, hopefully it's not a kidney, but, within reason.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 166. Welcome to the new NFL. New fucking Lions. My name's Matthew Turner alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick, Ryan McCluskey. How are you doing, boys?
I am... we can't win enough at the minute, we're going to win so much that we're going to get bored of winning, but I absolutely fucking love this. Don't think I'm ever going to get bored of this. So, yeah, let's do it. More Victory Mondays. Oh, it's such a great day of the week when you can just chill and rewatch a game, watch you kick someone's ass. And when it's Kirk Cousins and the Vikings, it's just even sweeter, really. I kind of hate them as much as I do Chicago. So, yeah, love it. Love days like this.
Right, the last month has been great. Might need to join AA or get some methadone because I'm overdosing on the Kool-Aid right now. It's flowing through my veins.
Just as an aside here to start with, Ryan has committed, if we get in the playoffs, to getting an MCDC tattoo. If you have a nice design for an MCDC tattoo, please get your suggestions in, because I'd like to see a couple of different designs on that. And also a win yesterday, and he's fully on the playoff train. So here we are. It's a new day. It's a new week. The Lions are alive. Not just a 2% chance before this run started at 1-6, not an 8% chance like before this week, but up to 23%, is it now?
Yeah.
Something like that.
I thought you're busting out a WWE reference then with, it's a new day. Yes, it is.
I haven't watched that much wrestling. I do know that the New Day is what, Big E and
Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods.
Yeah.
They're very entertaining.
Indeed. Anyway, let me get on with the preamble. Don't forget our Discord channel. It's a really good place to go for some Lions chat all the way through the week, and in the off-season it's going to become even more active in the run-up to the draft. So do come and join us there. I'll put a link in the live chat of both YouTube and Twitch right now, so don't forget to join us there. The college football podcast will be coming up at some point this week, lads, and I mean the games are over now, so what are you going to be talking about?
I've no idea.
You know I'm going to ask this every single time. Come on.
We're gonna make it up now as we go along and just have fun with it. The Heisman was awarded out, so we'll talk about the awards.
Oh, yeah.
The teams, the ACC.
Yeah, that you'll get a Ryan's rant for that, and from me. And the FCS playoffs, they were banging, weren't they? Did you watch them, Ryan? There were some crackers this week. Yeah.
Best game of the season happened.
Yeah, absolutely. In FCS or FBS, it was amazing. So yeah, there'll be lots on, and we got some player reviews to do. I think we're looking at slot cornerbacks. So yeah, plenty coming on. Like Ryan says, we're making it up as we go along now. So it's all good fun. Best shows come from that.
When's the college football playoffs? Just after Christmas? Just before Christmas? January. Okay, cool. So we're a few weeks away. All right, fair enough. Time for them all to get healthy just before you start. Fun times. Please don't forget to like the show, like the episode, sub to the podcast. Anything you can do to help us out would be much, much appreciated. Comments down below on YouTube. You know all the good stuff that you guys can do. And don't forget the app at lionsnationunite.com. Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators together, including us, Dose of Dion, Micro Mike, Lions on the Prowl. They're all there. So do go and download the app. And we are a Twitch affiliate, which means that if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you have a free sub every month, takes money from Amazon's pocket, puts it in ours, doesn't cost you a penny. If you can pop on over, even if you're on YouTube, and do that for us, much, much appreciated. It really, goes towards doing everything that we do here. So good stuff. Only a little bit of news to start here before we go into the game review. And let's face it, I want to spend a lot of time there. The Lions signed guard/center backup Ross Pierschbacher to the main roster. Injuries for the Lions dictated that was necessary. He did have another elevation available, but they decided to save that one. I suspect he may be cut today, tomorrow, at some point, because Evan Brown hopefully should be making his way back, but we'll see, I guess. And the cornerback, Chase Lucas, unfortunately placed on IR. He's going to be missing the next 4 games, including yesterday. So theoretically, he can come back for week 18. And then, if miraculously the Lions do make a run, obviously he could return for that. It depends on the severity of the injury, which we don't really know a lot about. Just that it happened kind of recently. He missed a day of practice or 2, and he's gone. So, unfortunate for him. He obviously hadn't played a huge amount. Ryan, obviously you're a stan of his a bit, and a bit of a shame if that's the way his season ends.
He won't. I imagine that's him shut down for the year now. Like, he's played such little part, he won't come back in week 18, or if we do make a playoff run. And I'm not convinced he'll be here next year either. We've seen very little of him. I know that we brought him on, he showed a lot of promise, but the position as a whole is still, I'd say, a strong draft need. We're still going to be bringing in at least multiple corners in free agency in the draft next year. So I'd say he's very much vulnerable on the roster. So, but he'll probably get picked up somewhere else. But yeah, this is probably the last we've seen of him this year.
All right. So that's all the news that we have. So we might as well crack on with the game review. Minnesota 23, Detroit Lions 34 in, backing up one of the best wins I've ever seen against Jacksonville, just controlling it from start to finish. This one, maybe a little bit closer in elements in this game, but, relatively controlled throughout, dictating the tempo of the game. Didn't allow Minnesota to rush the ball whatsoever. It was an absolute clinic in the Midwest, just controlling and I mean, at the end of the day, the Lions are 3-1 now in the division, which is absolutely fantastic. In this game, we elevated the linebacker Jared Davis and the cornerback Jameson Williams, inactives for the game, mostly due to injury or illness. Offensive lineman Evan Brown and Coyote, and I just can't remember how to say this guy's name now. Coyote Awazaka, I'm going to say, but I know that's wrong, so apologies to him. Wide receiver Tom Kennedy, linebacker Derek Barnes, cornerback Will Harris, and defensive lineman Michael Brockers and Austin Bryant. Notably in this game for Minnesota, Darasaur, Smith, and Bradbury all missed out, and that really did play into the game. Guys, high-level takes on this game. What did you think of it, just without going into too much depth?
I think it was one of the most... Sorry, Ryan.
Shut down the run. Yeah, they're missing their best tackle. They're missing their starting centre, and it showed in the run game. They tried to run up the middle, and they failed spectacular. And that was highlighted by a costly turnover that failed up the middle. So yeah, they had a scheme to try stop everyone. Like I say, I think they were happy to let Justin Jefferson run wild because he's not going to dictate a game on his own, and that's definitely how it planned. Could do everything he wanted, but they never got really that close. So they're the definition of a one-man team. Dalvin Cook has really struggled at times this year, and a lot of Vikings fans I've seen don't want to bring him back. They've kind of lost patience with him or how he's being used. Yeah, but those 3 injuries, were huge blows. And as the game panned out, you felt like those 3 holes they had, we exploited.
It was, for me, it was one of the most complete games of the season. I know we said last week was quite complete and we were dominant, but this was a game where all 3 units helped one another out. They all stepped up when they needed to. When the offense would falter, the defense would come up with a big stop, or special teams would come up with a big play. I mean, you had a couple of great punts in there. You had the fake punt in there, and then when the defense had falter and gave up a score, the offense would go straight back out there and score again and keep Minnesota at bay. So they ended up having to get more and more desperate as time went on, which made more mistakes from them. So it was really great. We didn't see this during the 1-6 run. We always sort of lamented the fact that, in fact, we've done it for years now. We've kind of lamented the fact that one side of the ball turns up and the other doesn't. And, special teams is just here, there, and everywhere. And they needed to get it together so that they all played as one team. And they all seem to be doing that now. They all seem to be playing as one. The offense is scoring points. The defense is creating turnovers. We are punishing mistakes that have been made by opposition teams. We're punishing them as heavily as we can. That's something we've not done in a long time. And it's the sign of a confident team. Comes from its leadership. Its coaches have learned a lot recently. Jared Goff has really, really stepped up to the plate, and all that confidence is trickling through this team, and you can see it. So for me, it was one of the most pleasing performances, simply because when one part of the team fell, another part picked it up, and that is what good teams do, and they carry one another forward onto a victory. And this was tough. They're a 10-2 side, and I know we think they're a bit fraudulent in that, but you still got to respect them. Cook has killed us for years, and he did nothing in this one. So I loved what I saw from this team. I loved the togetherness. I love how it's developing. I love the intensity. Said on the day of the game, if Minnesota wanted to win the division against us, they would have to go through the ass-kicking of all ass-kickings, and hey, they didn't have the bottle. They couldn't hang with us, and it was great.
Was fantastic to at least deny them the ability to win it here. Just going into the stats, Kirk Cousins, 31 of 41, 425 and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Did you know that the Dalvin Cook fumble was actually recorded as a sack fumble rather than a tackle for loss, because he appeared to want to
pass? It was in wild shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that was quite fun. Jared Goff, 27 of 39, 330 and 3 touchdowns. On the ground, Dalvin Cook, 15 for 23 and a touchdown, with a long run of 5 yards and several other 4-yard carries in there. Basically means that if you take out 2 4s and a 5, the guy went 12 carries for 10 yards. Really tells you how well the Lions did against that offensive line and against Dalvin, who just couldn't break away. The Lions were led in rushing by CJ Moore on that one fake punt, 1 carry, 42 yards. But with the traditional running backs, Jamal went 16 for 37, DeAndre Swift 6 for 21, Justin Jackson 4 for 19. In the receiving game, it was a historic day for Justin Jefferson, 11 of 15 for 223. That is a franchise record for the Vikings for Justin Jefferson, those 223 yards. Ably backed up by TJ Hawkinson, 6 for 8 for 77. Adam Thielen, 7 for 8 for 65 and a touchdown. And KJ Osborne, 5 of 5 for 38 and a touchdown. On the Lions side of the ball, they also spread it out a bit. DJ Chark, 6 of 7 for 94 and a touchdown. Amon-Ra, 6 of 9 for 68. Josh Reynolds, 5 of 6 for 51 and a touchdown. And Jameson Williams, 1 of 2 for 41 and his first professional score, which was fantastic. 2 fumbles on the day by Minnesota, 1 in the last play of the game when it was all said and done. But Dalvin's fumble, recovered by Kirby Joseph, absolutely fantastic moment in the game that really turned things, I think, in our favour decisively. On defense, tackling-wise, we had Dalvin Tomlinson, Josh Metellus, and Eric Kendricks all with 9 tackles each. They also had 4 tackles for a loss, 1 for Tomlinson, 1 for Hicks, 1 for Sullivan, and 1 for Cam Dantzler. On the Lions side of the ball, Anzalone had 9 tackles, Hughes had 7, so did Jerry, 6 for Deshaun Elliott, 4 sacks on the day, 1 each for Jacobs, Hutchinson, Houston, and Buggs, and 7 tackles for a loss in this game. 2 for Mike Hughes, 1 for Jerry, 1 for Malcolm, 2 for Aiden, and 1 for James Houston. No interceptions by either team, but as Ant rightly said, special teams also played their part in this one. Jack Fox only had 2 punts. 1 was from the Viking side of the field, so that hurt the average a little bit. But the one where we really needed to flip the field went for 66 yards. Ryan Wright also had his say in the punting game, though. He's got an absolute bomb of a leg as well. 3 punts for 159 yards for him. And Jalen Rager, his only activity was a 9-yard return for his only carry. Otherwise, Khalif Raymond, two punt returns for 48 yards. He continues to flip the field pretty much every time he touches the ball on special teams, which is really impressive. Badgley has now missed his first kick in the last 2 weeks, going 2 for 3 on field goals, but he still went 4 for 4 on extra points. I don't normally stop here, but I'm gonna, just because that was a lot to go through. Anything that really sticks out to you guys there statistically? I mean, Goff just efficient, and so was Cousins. It was a good day if you like passing offense.
They put on a clinic to the quarterbacks. Some of the throws that were made by both of them were fantastic. Kirk had people in his face all day, and there's one throw where he gets absolutely nailed, and he just gets the release off, and it sails to Justin. And yeah, the receivers, quarterbacks, just had really, really good days. Defensive backs, some of them struggled. Josh Metellus, one of the lead tacklers, but as we'll see on the JMO touchdown, big miscommunication between backers, safeties, corners, walked in free. They really did struggle with those that were missing, especially on defense. But yeah, and we were just aggressive. 7 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Probably the best defensive outing of the season. If you're talking about havoc rate and causing plays in the backfield, it was phenomenal. For a neutral, it was one of the best games of the entire week. Maybe the best.
Yeah, I just think in general we just completely outcoached them in this one. We know that the offensive line was beaten up and bruised. No Garrett Bradbury in there, no Christian Darrisaw in there. So we sent tons of pressure, and they couldn't deal with it. I know Bugs picked on Ingram a lot. He struggled all year, but Aaron Glenn got it right in overwhelming their offensive line, forcing Kirk to throw. And sometimes when you send the house, you give up yards, but when you get turnovers, a lot of Kirk's yardage was garbage yards. It wasn't, 400 yards sounds impressive, but it really wasn't. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we knew exactly what we had to do. Our bread and butter is usually running the ball in a game like this, but this wasn't a day for running the ball. This was a day for shredding that Vikings secondary, and they trusted Goff to do it. The protection was incredible from the offensive line, just gave him so much time in the pocket to be able to pick them apart. And Ben Johnson in particular, he did it right. They trusted Goff to dial up the big plays, because Minnesota, they have an awful pass defense, right? But, and I remember them saying this during the game, in the red zone, they're pretty damn good. 8 of the 9 previous drives that Minnesota had defended in the red zone, they'd stopped. It's a good red zone defense. But the passing, the secondary, is awful. So what do you do as an offensive coordinator? Dial up the bombs. Get your 2 big deep threats in there, and first 2 touchdowns in the game, deep threat throws. That is very good recognition from Ben Johnson. We don't need sort of slow, methodical drives, try and get it in the end zone and score. Just hit them where it hurts. And they could do nothing. Like Rice says, when Jameson went in, they were kind of just looking at one another. And by the time he sort of looked at his mate and looked back where Jamo was like halfway towards the end zone. That's just how quick he is. It gives you goosebumps. And Chark, he's on his renaissance at the minute, doing well. But that's all on coaching, identifying where the weaknesses are on the other team and just going hell for leather for them. And we did it on offense, we did it on defense. That's why the stat lines were so good for us, because we just created the mismatches. It's what Dan Campbell says. Create the mismatches and you'll win games. And we did it all game. And like I said, when one area struggled, another area picked it up and helped and just brought them back with it. And the team just pulled one another along towards the win. So I love it. I love everything I saw about yesterday.
So I'll go into a high-level play-by-play. Lions' first drive goes 3 and out, but Jack Fox flips the field with a booming punt. On the Vikings' first possession, nice play-action pass to Hock with pressure in his face, then goes right back to Hawks for another 6, then a huge tackle for a loss from Hutchinson on Cook, with this odd toss play that they like to run, which is tossing it straight back to the running back, stationary behind the quarterback, not going anywhere, and then just rushing up the middle. And it's like, there's no misdirection. They can see exactly what's happened. Whoever is creating these plays needs firing by the Vikings. But hey, lovely Hughes pass defended on Hawkinson in the resulting 3rd and 6, and then the Lions get just the biggest stroke of luck. 4th and 6, offside on the punt, just about on the Vikings side of the field. I think it's on the 46. Was on the 41. The 5 yards moves into the 46. 4th and 1. Instead of punting now, they decide to go for it. And Cook doesn't get there. Okuda makes a great tackle on him at his legs to stop him, maybe for a half-yard gain, about half yard short. And now suddenly the Lions have the ball on the 46 instead of having to suffer the punt. So huge stroke of luck. And then from the Viking side of the field, first down, Williams goes for 5 yards. 2nd down and 5, play action pass, loop to Jamo for a 41-yard score. His first NFL catch for an absolutely massive touchdown. PAT's good, and 7-0 Lions. In terms of a stretch to start the game, we've been used to the Lions scoring first drive out. And the Vikings are the number 1 side in the NFL on the first drive of the game. For both teams to end their first drive the way they did, and then for us to react like that straight away. I mean, apart from the stroke of luck with them turning it over instead of punting away, I just feel so good for Jamo. Like, he has worked so hard to, get back. Pre-season, they were talking about him being really eager to get in, and it's taken him this long. But man, that was worth the wait. Boys, 7-0 early on. Felt good. Felt really good.
So this is where your complementary football comes in. This is where I talk about when the team works together as one. And the start of the game was very indicative of this. I mean, the offense on the first drive was just awful. We did what we feared. We sort of ran the ball, got no yardage, put ourselves in 3rd and long, and that's where Danielle Hunter and Za'Darius Smith thrive. And, we're lucky to get away with that. But the offense stalls, so Jack Fox comes out, punts it to the fucking moon, puts them right back in their territory. That is special teams helping out the offense when it has faltered at the start of the game. So that's great. And then you need your defense to come up big after that. And hey-ho, look, they did. And this is the defense working together as one. You mentioned the 3 specific plays there. So first play, Aiden rinses Brian O'Neill, tackle for loss in the back. That's your edge rusher. That's the first line of defense there. Second line of defense, Cousins throws it in the middle. Chris Ford breaks up the pass, really good. That's your linebacker. That's your second line of defense. Your third line of defense, obviously, we have the punt penalty. No, penalties in the first quarter are a problem. But then you have Malcolm Rodriguez and Jeffrey Okuda stuff the run. That's your second and third levels of defense. In 3 plays, that's all 3 levels of your defense that have come up clutch on a big play to get them off the field and turn the ball over for you. That's the kind of complementary football that you're looking for there. And then the offense, they've got a chance at redemption. They had a bad start, but special teams and defense have got them in a good position. So what do the offense do? They go out onto the field 2 plays later at 7-0. Punish the Vikings' mistakes. They made a big mistake going for it on 4th down in their own territory where they were. They should have punted that thing, even at 4th and 1. They didn't. We made them pay fully. Offense did really well. JMO looked great. So this is the complementary football we have been missing. The offense faltered. Everyone else stood up. Offense got its chance for redemption, and it did it. And that is how a good team works. All of them pull themselves with one another. To see all 3 levels of the defense making big plays is great. Your young guys doing it. Awesome. So, yeah, this was a tone setter for the game. You have to set the tone early, and we did. All 3 units came together to give us a favorable position early on.
See, I feel differently about the 4th down. I think if that's the Lions and then you get that 5 yards back and it's a 4th and 1, I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell goes for that. Because it's so early in the game and you think it can't do much damage, I think he'd have gone for it. The difference was execution. They dialed up a bad play, another one where Dalvin Cook is a good, 4-5 yards away when he needs 1, when you could just sneak it with Kirk Cousins. They gamble on trying to get him ahead of steam, which they couldn't do on that drive. And yeah, it gets rocked in the backfield. So they started the game with a few layups to Hawkinson, just a little nice few cushy balls, and just to get him a bit of the ball. And that was fine. The defense was happy to do it. They tried forcing over the middle, and Hughes comes in, drills in, gets them on 4th down. And then our drive, we struggled all day to establish the run up the middle, but that's a mixture of hard running, but also good defense. Like I said, they were strong, they were stout in the middle. They made us bounce out and go outside the tackles. And then a breakdown in communication. Like I said, Goff slings one out to Jamo, runs out like a skinny post from the inside, and raise it up, and then he just tears off. Like I said, he sees that no one's recognised that he's passed by the backers, he's coming under the safeties, no one's crashing down, no one's going to do anything about it. And in a foot race, you're done for. That's the kind of play where you'd want Harrison Smith, because Harrison Smith will come down and he will sniff that ball out like a missile and he'll try lay the wood. That's where I feel like having Metellus there definitely was a play design. They wanted passes over the middle and they wanted to go after the safety. And it was a good throw, good catch. And for his confidence, done a world of good. He had to eventually, sooner or later, get that first score, get the monkey off his back, and now he can just go into games, I think, more relaxed. I feel we'll see a really relaxed, confident Jameson, especially next week. Now he's got that touchdown. But good start, composed, got the ball back, scored quickly, and the pressure then is all on Minnesota. Like I said, the pressure was ramped up then because they're the underdog, but they're supposed to be the big ones trying to come into our house, win the division. And the crowd was really ramped up as well. One of the loudest over the stereos that I've heard Ford Field for a long time. Kirk Cousins had a really hard day hearing plays all day. So perfect start.
It was the perfect start, and Minnesota then come out on offense, and they do get the score back. It started off, though, with another terrific tackle for a loss on Cook. Hughes and Alex Anzalone for a loss of 2. They double-teamed him. It forced 3rd and 7, and then big pressure up the middle. A big face mask by Jared Davis on the quarterback, completely missed by the referees who end up calling holding on Kirby Joseph on the back end. And, the Lions get away with one there because they could have given away 10 further yards or even 15 further yards if they'd given 2 penalties, but they decided not to. I think you can accept. Can you? Oh, no, you can probably
It was one finger. It wasn't huge. It was one finger.
Okay, but it pulled round the face mask quite a long way. It wasn't a big one, but it still wrenched his neck. Anyway.
Wrenched his neck feels like a stretch.
Yeah, so does his neck feel like a stretch, but, there we go. What a shame for Cousins, anyway. But, yes, the holding call on Kirby gives them another first down. Justin Jefferson then completely beats Jerry Jacobs, who bit really hard on play action. Like, he was starting to crash downwards already, and Jefferson has all the room in the world. Okuda then later on in this drive has a really big hit on KJ Osborne out of bounds at the 7. He's kind of already committed to the tackle. He thinks that he's going to stay in bounds. He goes out. He's bumped out by Anzalone a little bit, which changes his trajectory. Okuda knows that he's in the wrong there. Half-distance penalty, only 3.5 yards, but then Okuda gets DPI in the end zone on Thielen, who just beats him. Okuda has a little hold.
No, it doesn't. I just want to say that Adam Thielen was a big, massive schoolgirl on that one. You know, like the kid who doesn't get the Christmas present they want on Christmas morning and then just starts having a tantrum and throwing a hissy fit. That was Adam Thielen for that. That was a bull call. Absolutely no pass interference on that one whatsoever.
Completely disagree. Think Okuda had a big old grab of his jersey, and I'm not sure the pass was that catchable. That's the only thing that I have against it, is I'm not even sure they should have called it in the first place, but I thought it was definite interference. Just saying.
You know how it wasn't interference? Because the backline judge, who was right next to it, takes about 7 or 8 seconds to throw that flag. Only throws it when Thielen starts jumping up and down, like he's demanding fucking sweets and his parents won't give him. That is the only time he throws that flag. The one before, when Okuda smacks him out of play, Osborne out of play, that flag is thrown before Okuda's even hit him. That's how you know that it was bogus.
Ryan, can you be the Dalai Lama on this one?
Oh, Okuda was a dick. He wasn't even a late tackle. He initiates contact after the player's basically ended. He didn't. He wasn't never even going to hit him.
No, I mean the second one, not the first one. The second one.
DPI, he grabs him, but I agree the ball is sailing anyway. So you had a chance for a no call. He does grab him when he turns him, but yeah, the ball flies out the back of the end zone. And the late call was very late, so I was annoyed. I was annoyed on both counts. I was still annoyed from the first call at Jeff, but yeah, that was a frustrating end. I agree. Adam Thielen, big fucking douche. I can't stand the bloke.
So the DPI in the end zone means first down and 1 at the 1 yard line. Dalvin on a toss play actually bounces it outside on a toss play for once, which actually works for them. 1 yard score for him and 7 points apiece when the PAT is good. Next Lions drive, and Jonah Jackson pinged for a hold. Tonga trying to shed the block. Some people I've already seen say that was a light penalty. I see Tonga trying to disengage and get away from him by backpedaling, and Jonah trying to hold on to him. So I think it's a legit call, but you know, it's one of those marginal ones where if you're on the Vikings side, you hate it. If you're on the Lions side, if it's not called. If you're on the Lions side, you hate it if it is called. That sets them up for 3rd and 13, and Goff takes off after being flushed out a little bit and slides, and he's hit really late. Like, it's not an awful hit, it's not to the head or neck area, but he's just hit, and gives the Lions a first down for unnecessary roughness. Then a lovely conversion on a wide receiver screen to Chark on 3rd and 9. On the near sideline, he caught the ball at the line of scrimmage, was hit about 4 yards away from the line to gain, and like just kind of staggers and dives just about over the line. It was a really weird looking play, but there we go. Following on from this, 4th and 4 at the 39, and the Lions go for it because it's going to be a 56-yard kick, which they don't want to try. And behind, Goff throws it behind Reynolds, possibly his only bad throw of the day, and the Lions turn it over on downs. Does anyone have any especially big feelings on the Jonah Jackson flag or the play design on the 4th down play, or whether we should have punted or gone for the field goal? Because I think all 3 things were on the table there.
I just want to say first about Goff, the run where he gets hit, for me, that just shows how far Jared Goff is coming as a player. I have not seen him make such a confident decision to run the ball and run with such authority in his time here in Detroit. He knows he's going. He's running with confidence. He leaves it till the last second, draws the hit. This for a man who supposedly completely crumbles under pressure. And you are seeing now just how confident he is. You could see him see the gap, and he was off. I have not seen him run the ball more authoritatively in his time in Detroit. And I know it's just a little minor point, but for me, I was really impressed with that because I felt like, because we've criticized him at points saying, so, you know, quarterback's the leader on the team. He's the one who sort of drags the team forward with him and leads by example. And I felt then that just in that little moment, that was a lead by example moment. It wasn't meant to be a run, but he took charge of the situation, went for it with authority, grabbed the penalty from it, was smart about it. I don't know. I just feel like there's something different about him at the minute. I felt that was a really big play, even though it's inconsequential in the grander scheme of things.
It was clever, yeah. He knew he was never going to get the first down, but he was going to bait the defender. Like say, he knew that if he slides right at his feet, that he's going to try and come in. If he doesn't get over him, he's going to give away a penalty. So if you're Minnesota, it's one of those where, yeah, you've got to be more clever. You've got to lunge and try go over him. Goff dangles in the bait, he bites, first down. And then the Chark screen, good catch by Chark, but the blocking, fantastic. I think it's Reynolds and Amon-Ra both get blocks like 5-10 yards downfield. If they don't block, that play gets blown up dead. So Reynolds and all the receivers had one of the best days blocking probably this year. Pretty much a perfect performance because screens usually for us get fisted. But no, they did really well.
What about the 4th down and 4 play then? Goff going deep over the middle of the field, and he's just maybe a second too late to Reynolds, kind of throwing about a yard behind him. Reynolds didn't really have a shot.
Wasn't it Chark?
No.
I thought it was Chark who dropped it.
Should have been an interception.
I could be wrong, but I thought it was Chark. Anyhow, splitting hairs. I didn't mind the decision to go for it on 4th and 4. You know, you're in their half. You know, you've sort of been aggressive because you do have to be aggressive against the Vikings. Because, like, the one thing I said in the preview show last week about the Vikings is you've got to be decisive against them. If you let them hang around in a game, then they will burn you for it. So I think the aggressiveness is warranted. So I had absolutely no issues with that whatsoever.
You were right. It was Chark. My bad.
It's a minor detail. I'm just trying to remember the game as it was, but yeah, I mean, Goff, man, he looked great. I mean, I don't know what the term is for turning someone into a Detroiter. You know, like you gentrify something, but you do it to a city. But I feel like Goff is a lot more Detroit now than when he arrived. Like the way he dresses. And you know what I mean, though? He came and he was like all California, all Hollywood. Now it seems like his demeanor, the way he looks, it's like gritty and Detroit. It feels like they converted him into a Detroiter, and it seems to have worked for him. Yeah, you know what I mean. I don't know what the term is to turn someone into a Detroiter, but he's not a Cali boy anymore. He's not a fancy West Coast boy anymore. This guy's a tough as nails, hard ass Detroit guy, and he looks like it.
Considering the slogan for Ford and the F-150, can we say he's now built tough?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I think Goff is built tough. I think the amount of adversity he's been through and to sort of come through it and play as well as he has recently, I think, you know, he's shown that he is toughing this out. And I think he's coming out the other end a much better quarterback for it. You know, he's been through a hell in the 18 months here so far, and it seems that he's finding his life.
Yeah. All right. So the Vikings on the next possession, they've turned over the Lions on downs, and Cousins throws a big throw downfield to Adam Thielen, but an incredible pass breakup by Jerry Jacobs near the end zone. If it's caught by Thielen, it will be a touchdown. And Jerry gives up maybe a yard and a half of separation, but sticks with him, meets the ball at the catch point. He's there first and just times it to absolute perfection. It was a really, really impressive play by him. And then a false start on Minnesota, and then Hockenson on 3rd and 9 catches the ball a yard beyond the sticks on the end, on the sideline, tries to toe tap, forgets to catch the ball. I mean, it's the sort of drop that we didn't see him make here. I mean, he wasn't particularly good in other aspects of things, but that's not the sort of play we're used to seeing him do there. So maybe the nerves get into TJ Hockenson a little bit there. On the following Lions possession, a really nice sweep, running back sweep by Amon-Ra St. Brown on 3rd and 1. Jonah Jackson getting out, blocking in front for him, got about 5 or 6. And then they don't go for it on 4th down and 6 from the 40-yard line, punting it instead to the 10. I'll pause there. Really good pass breakup by Jerry. Nice sweep by Amon-Ra. And then not going for it on 4th down. I was confused. I thought it was the right decision, but it just feels like the sort of situation that Dan Campbell just always goes for it on. Maybe he's maturing a little bit.
Or maybe he's just trusting his defense a bit more now that it's playing better. I think a lot of the times we've tried to steal possessions because we've not trusted the defense to get the ball back, but the defense is now proving it can. And again, and I know people are going to get sick of hearing this, but it's the complementary football style again. So we talked when you last stopped about how we turned it over on 4th down. We went for the risk there, but then the defense make a stop, no points given up. So the offense may have screwed up on the 4th down, but the defense comes in, saves the day from that point of view. And then the offense comes out and does a lot better. We're in a big hole on that drive and we sort of run our way out of it. Very tough, very strong. The Vikings can't deal with what the front five are doing, punching big holes, giving the running backs room to run the ball, giving Goff time to throw the ball out of the situation. The 3rd and 1 I loved, the jet sweep with Amon-Ra, because they made a specific point about it on the TV. Donatel brought in all his heavies on there, expecting us to run it with Jamal up the gut to try and get that yard. He brought all his heavy set defensive linemen in to stop that. So how do you counter lots of heavy set D linemen in the middle? Get the motion going, get it out wide, take it away from them and put yourself in a more favorable situation to convert. And that's what we did. Amon-Ra's all the speed for days, gets out, 2 good blocks, convert. That is Ben Johnson. That has just been clever. Seeing what the defensive coordinator's doing. Oh, look, he wants to stop me running up the middle. Well, screw you. I'll use my playmaker and go out wide. Out-coaching them in all facets of the game. And I know it doesn't come to anything in the end, but again, the offense sort of falls a little short. So Jack Fox comes in, nails it in the 10, bails them out, gives the defense a good situation to work in. This is the team, once again, working in unison to put itself in the best possible situation to succeed when it, even when it doesn't succeed, if you get what I mean. It's all parts came together, and this is what I just felt like all game, one unit would fail, another would come up, and it would all be forgotten about, and you would start again, keep going. So there were individual bits to like in here, but again, the Vikings struggled, and they were not ready for a street fight today. I mean, you saw TJ, when he took his helmet off, he looked like he'd been in 10 rounds of a boxing match. We were so brutal and aggressive with them, and they couldn't deal with it.
The 4 and 6 made sense. We're going up against the team that's best in it. I think they're best in 1-score games. They've won nearly all of them. He was never going to take risks in this game. This was one of those where he was going to play conservative. Like, say, he knew we couldn't afford to give away cheap possessions, and he knew that eventually, if he kept giving them the ball back, that Dalvin Cook might break off a big run. It never actually happened or materialized, but he was never going to give him the opportunity to get and steal good field position. Not when he knew that Jefferson was having his way with the secondary and getting open. So it's better to live and fight another day. And Jack Fox, had a good day. Like I say, pin them deep and then give them their whole field to work with. So Dan coached a very smart game. Didn't give him any free hits. Didn't give him any confidence. No cheap frills like that. So he played it very. I'd say safe. Yeah, it was safe for a lot of it, but that is why it gave us the chance to pull away, because he trusted the defense. He banked on them, and they rewarded him because they would go ahead and they would get the ball back.
And so the Vikings do get the ball back at the 10, and Alexander Mattison, one of his only 2 carries on the day. He was tackled for a loss of 1 by Malcolm Rodriguez, forcing a 3rd and 11. And then a Justin Jefferson catch, but doesn't get the first down. Deep comeback route, catches the ball beyond the line to gain, but because he's coming back, you actually have to count it from where he either goes out of bounds or gets touched. And he doesn't get touched for some significant time, not since he loses 2 yards since catching the ball, so that he's a yard short. It was challenged by Minnesota, but it stood and it was the right decision. And then another amazing return, and he's been doing it all year, by Khalif Raymond, of about 30 or so down to the Minnesota 48. And very next play, one play, deep throw down to DJ Chark on the far sideline, one-on-one coverage against Cam Dantzler, just beats him with a little wiggle. It wasn't really a double move, just a little bit of not quite running straight is enough to throw Dantzler off, and he just absolutely burns him for pace. And Goff, it's potentially for me his nicest throw of the season, because in stride, in the breadbasket, so that 1 yard of separation is enough to see Chark all the way in the end zone. P80 is good, and 14-7 Lions. I mean, the thing about the run game is Mattison is another one that has torched us over the years. And he only had 2 carries in this game, and that, you know, the tone was set by these tackles for a loss. Rodriguez getting that one, then the Jefferson pass catch not getting the first down, the return by Raymond, and then the Chark touchdown. You know, those back-to-back plays of the punt return by Raymond and then the throw to Chark is absolutely massive. It really must have been just a gut punch for Minnesota.
So this was my favorite part of the game, because it was all 3 units of the team combining to make points for Detroit. Like you said, you know, you have the tempo done. Rodrigo drills Matheson, you know, big hit on him, like makes him know who's boss at that point. I think it's Jacobs on the second down, takes down Jefferson. Jefferson gets the catch in a few yards, but Jerry, very disciplined, very good with his tackling, keeps him down to what, third and, well, I think he breaks it up, actually. I think Jacobs broke up the pass. So yeah, they're still at 3rd and 10. So yeah, Jacobs breaks it up, and then on the 3rd down, they put a lot of pressure on Cousins, and in fairness to Cousins, that's actually a damn good throw, because he's got about 2 guys who are about to obliterate him. So the fact he gets it to Jefferson at all is, you know, quite impressive, and I say that very begrudgingly. But Okuda obviously steps up. He's very close in coverage, makes sure that he doesn't reach the sticks. It's very obviously not at the line to gain. So to say backwards progress, you know, you've got to take that into consideration, but very disciplined from the defense, I say. Rodriguez makes a play, Jacobs and Okuda make plays on Jefferson, their best guy, and then, you know, they've got to punt it away. Special teams then comes to the fore. Raymond brings it back, puts it in a very favorable position for us. You know, special teams was wonderful all day, and then 1 play later, DJ Chark waves bye-bye as the Charknado gets into the end zone. The offense puts up points again, punishes Minnesota. So, you know, you've got this. I mean, it's four plays, actually. You've got Fox's punt to nail them in the end zone. The defense standing up, not letting them get out. Special teams then giving us advantageous field position when Minnesota have had to punt the thing away. And then the offense immediately capitalizing on a weakness. I was delighted when Cam Dantzler got activated off IR, because I knew we'd skin him alive because he's useless. And Chark had him on toast. So that little 4-play sequence there from each individual section of this team just showed me how good this side's becoming. The fact they're working in unison gets us more points on the board, gives us a little bit of breathing space over them. It was, for me, the most impressive part of the game, because everyone worked together to achieve the final goal, and you've not seen that very often, and we're starting to see it more now.
Situational football. If we get the ball at around 30, you don't attempt the pass. Like I said, they probably try grounding the run game. They probably don't go for the deep ball straight away. But when they spring the big surprise like return and he breaks a few holes and he's very close to scoring, only the punter stops him. The last line of defence, he almost could have taken it to the house. And then you catch them cold. Like I say, the playbook totally changes once you cross halfway. When you can take a shot downfield to the end zone and catch them cold. And I agree, most of the corners, the secondary, it's weak as piss. Minnesota, it's got by far the biggest area of need. Is they've drafted corner after corner after corner. Mackenzie Alexander, I think he works at an Arby's now. Don't think he's even in football. He was a bust. Mike Hughes is here, had a really good game. Like I said, Dantzler, they've recycled defensive backs way worse than we have. And yeah, he was not ready for the game. He was rushed in off of IR because of injury. Patrick Peterson, the guy's slow as molasses now. He's a nothing. He's a nobody these days, trying to carry on. But yeah, picked on them all day. And DJ Chark just skinned him alive. And Goff, I agree, probably the nicest touch I've seen all year. He leads him. He doesn't have to come back to get it. It's not underthrown. It's over the shoulder. It lands in front of him. He puts his hands out, scoops it up, and walks into the end zone once he beats his man. And just like that, caught them cold. Like I say, that is like a big splash of cold water to the face for Minnesota. Space of 50 seconds from, like I say, the review, which was a bad challenge, poor challenge. Like, do you not know the rules of football? Have you got no one in the box watching? It clearly is not touched until he's out of bounds, a yard for the sticks. So I'd have been yelling at whoever told me to challenge that. Or if Kevin did, shame on him. But yeah, that's how quickly football can change. Just like that. Big return, drop one in the end zone, and confidence, momentum, big swing back in our favour.
Then the resulting possession for the Vikings winding down in the half now, and Mike Hughes with another huge tackle for a loss on Dalvin Cook for a loss of 4. A nice conversion on a 3rd down and 5 to TJ Hawkinson, who seemed to be a 3rd down feature in this game. Another really good conversion to Jefferson despite really tight coverage. And then another one on a 3rd and 8. And then Cousins to Thielen. Dives and gets the first at the 3-yard line. Now, does he get there? Does he not? Probably just about. They did review it. I wasn't convinced when I saw it live, but yeah, maybe. And the Lions take a timeout to preserve the runoff. Although, was it to preserve the runoff? That's what they said on the coverage. But apparently we had 10 men on the field. 10 men on. 10 men. Yeah. That's why they said that Campbell was going absolutely ballistic on the sideline. So defense not really communicating particularly well there. But, you know, fair play to Campbell for recognizing that, because it's not always easy to see and getting that timeout in. Following that, they hand the ball off to Cook, who wants to do that sort of Derrick Henry style hesitate, jump ball, point guard toss over the line of scrimmage to someone in the end zone, but just completely goes wrong. He's got like loose grip on the ball so that he can toss it over, and Bugs just gets in there with a big fist and punches the ball out. Kirby Joseph is there at the 5-yard line, returns it all the way down to the 20. 58 seconds now in the half. Lovely throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown. First play after that to the Detroit 47. Swift then gets another 15 yards to get it down to the 38. 29 seconds left. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets another 7. And then Goff goes for it all to the end zone, but misses Josh Reynolds. He would have been triple covered if he actually got it on target, so probably for the best that he airmailed it. And then a field goal try from 47 yards, no good. For once, nothing wrong with the snap or the hold, just the money badger, unfortunately, just hooking it a little bit to the left as it curls. And that was the end of the half then, 14-7. It could have been a 10-point swing by getting the fumble on the Detroit 3-yard line. Instead, it just saves the Lions 7, boys. But after the gut punch of actually scoring in a flash of an eye for the Lions, the then really long drive for the Vikings ending up with absolutely nothing. And, you know, I remember what it felt like when Jameson Williams fumbled on the 1-yard line early on in the season. It is just a horrific feeling. And I don't feel sorry for them at all. Fantastic play by Bugs. Stupid play designed by the Vikings. But you can say that for quite a lot of what happened yesterday.
That's what happens when you blow so much smoke up Kevin O'Connell's arse, calling him an offensive genius. They try and get too clever for their own good. Minnesota are not a team of trickeration. They are not a team who do fancy things like that, who try the little cute dink and dunk passes over the top from the running back and stuff. They are a good old-fashioned smash it down your throat type team who do things, and they did it on that drive. They've got a decent quarterback who can throw the ball. They've got a running back who can, you know, just stampede it through you. So I don't get it, because the drive was actually really good from them. I think the very first one, Hughes drilled Cook for a loss. But after that, Kirk Cousins, under an immense amount of pressure, moved it down the field pretty well. Aaron Glenn was very aggressive on that drive. I quite liked it, actually. And the fact that Cousins was able to drive it all the way down, only to then have it taken out his hands, literally, it was hilarious to me. Why? Why not just run it with Dalvin? First, you'll kill clock, because you've got a few goes at this. It's not like you're doing it on 4th down trying to be clever. You've got a few goes at it. Just run the damn ball. That is what the Minnesota Vikings are. They're not a team who does the fancy Derrick Henry type passes. And I think that's Kevin O'Connell believing his hype a bit too much, going, I want to be on in Red Zone. I want to be on all the Monday morning publications for this fancy little pass I did with Dalvin Cook. And we punished them for it. Bugs, it was a wonderful piece of play. He absolutely rinsed, I think it was either the center or the right guard. absolutely rinse them, gets in, hits hard, like you said, gets the fist in, punches it, trying to look for a turnover. Kirby's very alert, gets it out of there. Defensively, it's something we've not seen in a long time. And again, with the Vikings getting the ball in the second half, that's critical because they could have scored then, take the momentum into the half, come out. You know what we're like in third quarters? We're traditionally not very good. Score again. All of a sudden, they're in front in this game. So it's a massive play from the defense to come up with it. But as much as I want to credit the defense for doing it, it's also just being stupid from Kevin O'Connell, and I don't know why they did it. And I mean, you just saw the confidence in our team, though. A few seconds left, we still managed to drive it into field goal range, and I'm not going to knock Badgley for that. I'm not going to knock Daly either, because he gets enough shots fired at him here, but it's one of those things. First ones he's missed, but it shows you how confident the team is. Make that stand, almost get yourself in a time to get more points when really you shouldn't have. It's indicative of the confidence flowing through this team. But yeah, Kevin O'Connell's a moron.
If you're going to try it, you can't hesitate. And Dalvin Cook hesitates. Like I say, the tight end, I think it's the tight end, it might be Hawkinson, he gets free. He does break off his release and get into the end zone. But Dalvin Cook takes 1 second too long to get rid of the ball. And next thing you know, like I said, Bugs is burying him. And then Kirk did what all QBs do, made a business decision, just watches us recover it. No QB ever tries to recover a fumble because they're too scared to get hurt and they won't risk their injury on it. And then, foot race, Kirby takes it all the way down the field. So that was, like I say, it was a good drive by the Vikings. Like you said, they converted third downs, some clutch throws, some good catches. And then when they get too cute and they rush their luck a little bit too much, it all comes crashing down and a huge swing of events. And like I say, Badgley, that's strike one. I won't be any more critical than that. You get one miss, you get three, and I'm done with you. So, but yeah, that was annoying. I wanted to extend the lead. I would have felt a lot more comfortable going in, like I say, with an extra 3 points. But stopping them scoring at the one, can't really complain because you usually don't do well when it gets close to the red zone. Because did a bunch of teams did a run a fly sweep or a jet sweep, something like that. That's usually some of those plays that kill us, but they tried to be too clever and it really, really shot them in the foot. So yeah, great end to the half. And especially when they're getting the ball as well. We could not afford to let them score there and then get the ball back at halftime. That would have given them too much confidence.
And they actually had time to have two plays after that, which I kind of neglected to talk about. One big pass down the middle to about midfield. And then Houston and Hutchinson combined for a sack on Cousins to end the half, which was satisfying. Houston now with his fourth of the season through only like 30 snaps total, which is just insane. Start of the second half, 3rd and 2 for the Vikings. Thielen in the flat, really well tackled by Mike Hughes, preventing the conversion. 4th and 1. Deep in their own territory, they do decide to punt. And another good return by Raymond, getting about 15. Chark then tackled for a loss on a Lions 3 and out. He gets, unfortunate, the blocking just not quite good enough on that one. And a fake punt call to CJ Moore. Gets a big run down to the Minnesota side of the field. He gets about 44 or so. But then taunting on the Lions after that. Lions lose 15 yards. Still 1st and 10. But for a cornerback who's getting his shot, to get elevated into this game, to play a snap, and to lose his team 15 yards, it'll be gone in the morning. Like, there's no room for it. I'm sorry, mate, but in a dog-eat-dog world where there's someone just as good as you waiting to come up, you don't get the luxury of doing that sort of thing. I'm sorry, but not good enough. Lovely second down and long conversion to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And then to Chark, second down conversion down the middle. A pitch to Swift on 3rd and 1. He got there on the near sideline, but Stenberg got pinged for holding. And Chark really ruins that play because he gets in between Stenberg and the person he's engaged with and forcing Stenberg to kind of extend his arms but walk backwards. And he is holding him. But that's what everyone does. And if you're closely engaged, you're fine. But Chark forces the hold to become obvious.
If that's holding, my hair's longer than Alex Anzalone's.
It's holding.
No, it's not. That is not holding at all. It's
It's
egregious
textbook
call.
holding.
No, it's not. I don't know what textbook. Yeah, no, not it's textbook, not fairy tale. You know. So that is not holding at all. I've been touched more by strangers on the tube than he has. So there you go. That just is not holding. Sorry.
Thanks for that. 3rd and 12 after the hold. Amon St. Brown converts on a really nice slant. And then possibly my favourite play of the day. Goff with the most convincing fake toss you'll ever see. And a pass to Reynolds on a quick slant. PAT's good. 21-7 Detroit. 5:44 left in the third. Let's talk about that sequence then. So Mike Hughes in the flat, stopping Thielen, converting for a 3-and-out early. The fake punt and that call, we've got the taunt, we've got the hold, which we've spoken about, and then that fake toss to finish things off, boys. Ryan, any thoughts on that bunch of plays?
If you're going to get called with taunting, at least be on the right side of the field. He was on the opposite side of the field to the player. Like, why is he taunting? Like someone like in your end zone when the play happens in the other end zone. He couldn't have been any further away, and he's running his mouth in front of an official. So was it Jaron Williams? Was it the IR guy?
Yeah.
Was it the guy I did from the practice squad? It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking dumb. Luckily, it didn't cost us too much. If it had, I'd have not let him get. I'd have put him on the Minnesota flight home with them. So that was annoying. I did not see that coming at all. I did not see the fake coming whatsoever.
You're going north to the wall,
lineup,
lad.
the formation, did not give it away. So yeah, that was a surprising play. It caught them out, and I think Riga makes a stop, which is annoying. Jalen Reagor saved a touchdown on that play. I think that's the only contribution he made in the entire game. He literally pushed him out of bounds. And then I agree that the fake reverse, like halfback toss pitch, and then he automatically spins round and he just fires it down to Reynolds. The entire defense just flowed to the left. Like I say, he just walked in. Like I say, he just steps in front of his man. He couldn't have dialed it up any better than that. And it was a lovely play to end a drive. And yeah, momentum now is all in our favour.
No, this is a bit to go through. You see, I was very surprised when the PFF stats came out earlier and I was looking through them that Mike Hughes was credited against having 9 targets against him and 9 receptions given up. And I'm thinking, hang on, he started the second half with a damn good pass breakup. So I'm not sure where that's vanished to in the ether of things, but that obviously got missed. I thought Mike Hughes had a really good day for the most part. Struggled in coverage a little bit, but against the run, he had like 5 run stops on the day. I'm thinking, he had a pressure as well. Did ever so well, but
he was the one who whiffed on the tackle for the Thielen touchdown, which I think hurt him quite a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, they don't seem to have included that pass breakup. I don't know why, but again, tone setting. So you've stopped them right before.
It wasn't a pass breakup; it was credited as a catch.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they gained a yard on it because it was 3rd and 2, and it became 4th and 1. The ball came out, but I think he just about survived the ground. And lots of people on the live stream saying that's not a catch, and it's like, well, they're.
I didn't think it was either. Oh, yeah, I must have missed it.
Yeah.
Anyhow, defense comes out, makes a stop. That's the biggest thing. You don't. That is the advantage for the Vikings there. You suddenly give it up and then it's back with us again. And, the fake punt I thought was the stroke of genius. I know we said earlier we wouldn't take risks in this game, but again, they understood that to beat Minnesota, you can't be within 1 score of them because they will burn you if they're in that sort of range. So I think we've utilised the fake punt well this year. What are we, 6 of 7 on fake punts this year? So a lot of teams expect it, but then we almost seem to not do it for long enough to make teams relax a little again and think we're not, and we catch them completely unawares. Because when Will first gets the ball, you're like, oh, crap, they might not make this here. The coverage is pretty good, but they've got it all blocked out. They've got it all schemed. It's ran to absolute perfection. And Kevin O'Connell must have been apoplectic on the side because, we steal a possession back there. But the most critical thing, when you get that possession back, go and make it count. Put points on the board and make them feel even worse about it. It's all right if they give that up and then you end up punting anyhow. It's like, well, it's a mistake, we can move on. But the Lions didn't. All the way down the field, even when we get to the 3rd and 1, the bullshit call on Stenberg, which was not. Even then, we still had a play in the book. And like I say, they bit so hard on the fake thing, but Ben Johnson set it up. He'd done it several times in the drive already, so they were fully expecting it. And then Josh Reynolds gets the freedom of the city to put it in. That's just perfect play calling. That is setting up a defense and then exposing them when they're least expecting it. So the play is great. You're 21-7 up. You've been aggressive. So, you've come out at the start of the second half, stopped them, scored, gone 2 scores up. You could not have done it any more perfectly than that. So, great start there from the Lions. And just quickly move back onto, because we mentioned Houston at the end of the second half. I've got to say this about him. He's fucking amazing, and I absolutely love him. And his nickname is now upgraded, as I put on Twitter. He ain't the problem anymore. He's now the paradox. Because no one can solve a paradox, and no one can seem to solve how he plays football because he keeps getting sacks. So well done, James. Really well done.
Yeah, I thought the fake punt was absolutely terrific. The thing about fake punts, is when you can actually do it and catch a team with their pants down, it's not like you just gain the yards you need to convert. You normally take it a heck of a long way. And the conversion rate is much better than people think it is on fake punts. People think it's going to be some sort of onside kick percentage where you get between 5 and 10% of it. But you convert them 30 to 40% of the time, which is significant. That's a really good possibility of getting it there. It's just you don't want to turn it over on downs. But if you're going to get there 40% of the time on 4th and 5 versus 45-50% of the time on 4th and 2 if you run an offensive play, why not fake punt it all the time? That's going to do better for you in terms of average yards per play. So I don't understand why teams don't do it more. I think the Lions are innovating and actually leading the way, showing teams how you can buck the trend and make other teams look a bit foolish. So well done to them. And in the chat, they just want to point out that Dave Phipp has been money all year. And we're going to have to fend off some people for his services, I think, who are going to try and offer him bigger jobs on bigger money because he's been fantastic.
Well, this is one of the big things you have to give Dan Campbell credit for. It's the trust he has in his staff. That is a big call to put in Dave Phipp's hands. But because Dave Phipp has done such a good job with special teams, he's almost earned the right to be trusted to call that play, if you get what I mean. And that's the great thing with Dan Campbell. He manages well, even when it comes to his staff. He could have just taken the safe option and punted that, but, a guy who has performed incredibly well for him as a coach in special teams comes up, goes, look, we can fake this here. We have something lined up. Let's do it. And for him to go, right, let's do it. Because that could have put us in a whole lot of trouble if we got it wrong. That could have put us in a whole world of trouble. We could have just given them the ball back deep in our territory. It could have been 14-all before we know it. So for him to do that and for them to convert shows the trust that the coaching staff have in one another. And Dan Campbell, in his leadership role, knows who to trust and when to trust. And that's the biggest thing about being a leader. So you've got to give kudos to Dan Campbell and to Phipp for that.
I think one of the things about the fake punts as well, which is just so impressive for the Lions, is that they can do the fake punts any which way you like. So they might have been looking out for a fake punt, but it could have been a pass from Jack Fox. Maybe they're not looking at the Upman. But it is the second such time that CJ Moore has done it. Now, he got 42 yards on this one, but he also converted with a 13-yarder earlier on in the season. So it's not like he hasn't done it before.
It'd be interesting to know the ratio of passes to runs on our fake punt. I feel like we pass it more on fakes than we do run it, but I guess if you keep them guessing enough, like you said, you've got two types of punt to work out for. You can't sort of set your DBs back too far because you might not want them to pass it on you, but you can't let them go too far because if you run it, you might not close him down in time. But I'd be interested to see what the split was between the 6 of 7 this year.
So, just for CJ, in the last 2 seasons, he has 3 rushing attempts for 83 yards and an average of 27.66 yards per rush, which is just great. I absolutely love it. Okay, so Lions 21-7 up, 5:44 left in the third, and Jerry Jacobs comes up first play out with a massive sack on Cousins. Cornerback blitz just gets to him in a flash and takes him down really well. But Cousins gets up on 2nd down and 19 and delivers a dart to Hockenson, who beats zone coverage over the middle. So converts for a first down there. And then Cousins, next play up, with a huge throw to Justin Jefferson. As he runs from the slot on the left-hand side, runs a deep out route to the near sideline, makes Amani Oruwariye look a bit foolish. Then kind of beats him coming back inside before going down. 4th and 4, we then manage to force. Vikings go for it 2 scores down, and Thielen is catching it for a touchdown. Beats Mike Hughes in coverage, who whiffs on the tackle. They go for 2, which is a baffling decision at this point in the game, if I'm quite honest. Maybe we'll talk about this now. So the Vikings are 15 down with, I think, 3 minutes left in the third quarter at this point. So there's 18 minutes left in the game. Traditionally, you go for that 2-point conversion when you're 14 back to go 6 behind. Not in this situation. I don't. It's too early in the game. You know, is that a situation? But I just think there's so long to go in the game. You might want that 1 point back, and I bet they wish they did. Go for a 2-point conversion though, and they go for a wide receiver screen to Adam Thielen again. And Kaminsky, Hutch, and Hughes are all there to tackle him for a 1-yard gain, and he doesn't get there. So 2:15 left in the third after all of that. And it was a good drive by the Vikings to suffer that sack first play up, and it was a heck of a play by Jerry Jacobs. But the pass to Hawk, Jefferson beating Amani, and then Thielen beating Hughes, I kind of thought, oh, God, that's not great. But, you know, stopping the 2-point conversion just felt like another little dagger for them, even though they scored.
You're going to get burnt by Jefferson. He is one of the best receivers in the NFL. You are going to give up some plays to him, whether you like it or not. So, I mean, from that point, you know, it was kind of always going to happen. You weren't going to keep him quiet all game. Cousins was doing pretty well, even under pressure. The drive was good and pretty. The 4th down call was really ballsy, and I almost kind of I admired him for that. You know, he didn't have to. He's still early enough in the game. He still kick a field goal, get some points, and go on. But it was a bad play. We should have stopped it. But hey ho. The thing is, like you said, we picked ourselves up from conceding the touchdown, and we stopped the 2-pointer. And again, I say it's just a little bit of confidence it gives you back. The team suffer a setback, so what do? They recover. They show fight. You know, they don't let it get them down, and that was the feature of this game. And the next drive you're about to talk about, that's the real resilient character of this team. That's where they differ from the team who played the Vikings a few months ago. That's where they learned their lesson. But yeah, this team just never let itself get down in this. No matter when it's to concede points, bounce straight back. So kudos to them.
Yeah, it was. They had a good drive, like I said. The Jerry blitz was funny because it was Hockenson that missed the block. You see him come across the line and he just dives in, totally misses him. So that was all about sweet because we know how crap TJ was at blocking, and now Vikings fans have worked that out too. So yeah, drills Cousins, and then Cousins stands in the face of pressure. Once again, delivers a strike, moves him down the field, and I've got to agree, way too early to go second 2-point conversion. It not getting that 2-point conversion or even going for it changes drastically what they have to do, like in the next quarter. Like I said, it affects everything that happens after that when they're falling behind. So I agree to go for it. Yeah, with Mike. Yeah, he whiffs. Like I said, Thielen gets him, has his number on that one, which he's a savvy veteran, and he's able to do that in the red zone. Yeah, we shut it down. Like I say, we go again, and now we're entering just towards the fourth quarter, where the game right now is probably pretty comfortable. I wouldn't even say it's on the line. Like I say, we're getting the ball back, and now we're going to look to work the clock. And like I said, do things that we're not usually very good at doing, and that is putting teams away. So yeah, if you've offered me a touchdown for them but failed the 2 point, I'd have taken it, and now we go back to work on offense.
And go back to work on offense, the Lions do, and they stayed aggressive at a time where in history they've gone into their shell. Play action passes amok from Goff several times, fooling Minnesota, who consistently thought that the Lions were going to run. Went for another Amon-Ra conversion, then Justin Jackson on a 3rd and 8. Just passive, awful, shallow zone defense that was wildly ineffective. Jackson then 15 yards out, runs up the middle, and just before the line of scrimmage, with a sick cut to the left-hand side, bounces it out, runs for the pylon, and just about flicks it with the ball. Like, it's so close to being short, it's not funny. It was reviewed for a long time, but was then confirmed on the field. PAT is good, 28-13 Lions, and they took just under 4 minutes off the clock on that drive, so it wasn't especially slow, but I mean, damn, they go from 8-point to a 15-point game. It changes absolutely everything again. What did you think with the Lions not resting on the run game? Because as Ant said earlier, it didn't feel like a game where the run was going to be effective, but so often we've seen the Lions go conservative here. It's how the Vikings won game 1 between these two teams. The Lions got scared, and it just didn't happen here.
No, this was the big difference between the two games. I didn't get to watch it live, and I already know what happened when I did, but when I was watching the game back, this would have been the point for me where I'd have known we were going to win. Because in the last game, we couldn't close it out. We couldn't sustain drives. We couldn't take time off the clock. We gave them an opportunity to get back into it. And to suffer the touchdown could have been a point where they're like, oh, God, it's going to happen again. They're going to retreat into the shell. They didn't. The offense went out there. It went back to work. It was a long, sustained, methodical drive predicated on the pass. And again, that's what you've got to do. If they can't stop the pass, then don't stop passing it. What is it, 5th consecutive game they've given up over 400 yards of offense, a lot of it through the air. You know, just keep on going to it until they give you a reason not to pass the ball. Just keep passing the ball. And we did. And I'd say we took time off the clock. We took the sting out of the game. We took any potential momentum away from them. And the way we finished it off with Jackson on the touchdown, I'm pretty sure that's the play when J-Mo pancaked Bynum back to the times that actual Vikings roamed the earth. He got sent so far back by that block that, yeah, it was wonderful to see from J-Mo. He just absolutely killed him. But yeah, you put the score back on, you're 6 or 7 minutes further on in the game, and the Vikings are suddenly, oh, well, we're just as far behind as we were 6 or 7 minutes ago. No matter how hard we're trying, they're keeping the lead on us, and that exerts pressure. That makes them more desperate. That makes them more prone to mistakes, and it's just something that since Matt Patricia, all the way back to him, we've never done. We've never exerted scoreboard pressure by just constantly scoring all the time. And this is what we did. We matched them score for score, up 2 scores. And that is the worst thing that can happen to a team who's chasing a game, is to just not get a sniff. And they didn't even get a sniff on that drive. It didn't feel like they got a sniff on it. So, it was just great play from the Lions all around. They learned so many lessons from the first game between these two teams. And this was the biggest one of them all.
Vikings defense went into damage limitation mode. They dropped deeper. They played soft zone. They gave up cheap receptions. Like you say, we converted, moved down the field, and then it's just a great solo effort. Like you say, cuts, bounces out, and he sees that Dan Slater's come down too far, got a bad angle, and he goes for the pylon, and he tries to push him out. And I see people on Twitter complaining, how's that a score? He went out, like you say, his body is floating in midair, and he touches the outside of the pylon, and it's a great effort. And I've come to really kind of grow attached to Justin Jackson, which you shouldn't do because I don't know if he'll be here next year. But in the return game, he's been pretty good. Kicks, punt returns when he's splitting with Khalif, and he's had some good runs this year as well. For a third guy for that change of pace, so for them fresh legs, he's been really effective when called upon him. And this score for me was the icing on the cake. I was 97% sure we'd won by this point, that the Minnesota heads had finally dropped. They looked tiresome and they looked lackluster on defense.
13 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter at this point, 15-point game, so the Vikings know they haven't got much time to screw about. An amazing throw then for 47 yards to Justin Jefferson, who beats Mike Hughes. Now, he's meant to be double covered with Kirby bringing help, but Kirby's kind of late to the party a bit. He then does bring him down after he beats Hughes, but potentially could have been in a slightly better position there, but never mind. Hutch then with a massive sack, beating O'Neal round the outside with a speed rush, just all ends up. Loss of 7 on the play, and then Hutch, they scheme up a lovely play here. So they're bringing their NASCAR package in with Hutch. I think the middle one of 3 on the left-hand side, then stunts up the middle, jumps up in Cousins' face. Cousins has to throw it away, and then Hutch, kind of in midair, bails out of landing on Cousins to avoid the roughing the passer penalty. I mean, it was just a lovely play to watch. That was 3rd and 17. Minnesota on 4th and 17, needing 15 points, with three points not helping them at all, are forced to go for the field goal, which is good, which makes it 28-16. That leaves 10 minutes on the clock. And what do the Lions do? Put their foot down again. Chark with a massive 3rd down and 9 conversion to keep the clock moving. Goff, really nice and patient, and converts a 3rd down and 3 to Shane Zylstra. Swift gets another first. The Vikings' D becomes increasingly porous. They do manage to stop the Lions when they're starting to burn a bit of clock. Field goal's good from 41. 31-16 Lions. 15-point game, and they burn 6 minutes of time from 10 down to 4:06 on that drive. So you've got the Minnesota field goal. You've got the Lions field goal in return, boys, and just a terrific kind of run of plays by Hutchinson to stop the Vikings having any chance on that drive. And then, you know what? We didn't force it to try and have too many risks later on. We were taking the short passes where we could with the Vikings, just giving that up, and we burnt over 60% of the remaining time on that field goal drive. It was the death knells.
Both teams played prevent. Both teams played prevent defense. We let them drive, but we stopped them when we needed to. Field goal. I mean, for a team that's 15 up, it's deep into the fourth quarter. I'll take prevent defense and field goals when I'm 15 up. The team standed up when it needed to. I mean, they've had problems with that before. They've bent and broke a lot, but this time, like, Hutch set the tone, put them behind the sticks. The other guys stepped up, did what they needed to. Field goal, and great opportunity for us. And again, this drive, we had 3 attempts at this in the last 10 minutes against Minnesota at their ground to drive, kill the game, kill the clock, get the 3rd downs, and they battered us in the trenches. This time, it was roles reversed. We killed them in the trenches. Like you said, we converted a 3rd and 9. We converted a 3rd and 3. We kept the drive alive and kept it going and kept killing the clock. 6 minutes. It's a hell of a long time when it gets to that point of the game and you drove all the way down the field. And the most critical part of it, not only did you drive all the way down the field, but you end it with points. Reestablish that 15-point gap again. So they're going to have to get 2 scores, and at least one of them is going to have to be a 2-pointer. It puts them under immense pressure for the rest of the game. So it was just a wonderful drive from the Lions. Kill the clock, keep the scoreboard ticking, just exert nothing but pressure on the Vikings, who, as the longer the game went on, they wilted harder and harder and couldn't deal with it because we didn't let up. And that's the thing we didn't do in the first one. So we learned every lesson we needed to from that first game and applied it to this game and kicked their ass.
Yeah, I was so impressed. Hutch wrecked a drive. Like you say, speed rush around the outside, wraps up. And then, yeah, that play I love, like you say, shows like he's going to pass rush, drops, like spins around, comes under the center, jumps up like those big mitts in the air. And then almost comes down on him. I thought it was going to hit him in the helmet. I thought I saw him go up. I thought, oh God, he's going to land on him. It's going to be a penalty. But comes back down, ball's thrown away, and then baffling. Like I said, you're 2 scores down, and you're playing when you need to force a turnover, and they're playing soft zone. They're letting Jared Goff just dink and dunk his way down the field and just milk clock. When the going gets tough, you need guys like Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith to like step up. Passengers, they did absolutely nothing the entire game. Barely heard their name called all day, and that is a crest. Like I said, that's a testament to how well, when it mattered, the offensive line gave Jared Goff just time to operate. 3rd downs in the second half, we converted majority of them. We were very clinical and efficient on 3rd down, and then even if we'd not got points, if we've eaten 6 minutes and then like pin them deep, I'd have been cool with that too. But then get a field goal, establish the lead, and at that point there, Minnesota kind of need a miracle. Like I said, they've already fluffed a 2-point conversion, which changes the game plan. If they're 2 scores behind, if they're 14 behind there, then fair enough. But being 15 behind, knowing that one of them you'll have to go for a risky 2-pointer, that just adds even more pressure. And right now, cruise control, don't do anything silly. And yeah, the Lions are in like almost like cruise mode at this time.
It's something very interesting that I don't know. Aaron Glenn, if he was asked this, I know he would never answer it, but that inside stunt that Aiden did to get the tackle for loss on Kirk, did you notice that earlier in the game, I think the Vikings only had 2 quarterback hits on the day. That was everything they had. And I'm 99% sure that both of them came from Zadarius doing the exact same stunt through the middle. They were running the same play with him during the game where he would drop in and then would hit the gap in the center of the line, which had been vacated by all the blockers in the middle. So I wonder whether Aaron Glenn saw that play during the game and thought, you know what, actually, I might give you a taste of your own medicine and do that with Hutch as well. Because the Vikings definitely were doing it with Zadarius. I know that much. It's the only time they got pressure on Goff.
Yeah, one by Tomlinson, one by Smith in terms of quarterback hits. So,
and I'm pretty sure Tomlinson did an inside stunt. I know he is an inside guy anyhow, but I'm pretty sure he sort of went outside then came back in again. I'm sure ROTL was running that same play during the game that Glenn used right at the end.
And this game wasn't entirely over, and I'm going to go to the ends from now, but they did make it close. 4:06 left, and Justin Jefferson beats Jacobs for a huge play down the sideline, does not go out of bounds. The play is whistled dead before Jefferson gets to the end zone. He's nowhere close to being out of bounds. There's a flag on the play, which is then waved off. It was going to be DPI called against the Lions, and it wasn't called. But the Lions get away with a massive one there, because it would have been just a walk-in touchdown for Jefferson. The referees, we can call them out, even when a decision goes for us. That was an egregiously bad call. But they do go a long way down the field on that play. Then on the far sideline, Cousins to KJ Osborne just beats his defender to the corner of the end zone on a 3rd and 5. Touchdown Vikings. PAT's good. 8-point game, 31-23. Why go for a PAT now? Just go for the 2-point conversion, make it a 7-point game. At least you know that you have 1 score to go or you don't. Like, it absolutely baffled me that having gone for 2 points earlier, they didn't go for it there. Because when you're 15 points down, you take the 2-point first, knowing that then you can win the game with 8. At least it gives you the flexibility, or you know you have to go and get another 2 scores. Just the thinking from the Vikings was just off. They were rattled, and it showed up in their decision-making on the coaching side. 2:50 left, onside kick recovered by Josh Woods. If they'd recovered it there, only 8 back, they could have tied the game. 3rd and 7 in 2 minutes, and a real just a play built to shame a team. Penei Sewell lines up as a slot wide receiver, comes in motion left to right, motions as if to chip block, but releases, catches the ball on 3rd and 7. He's unsteady. He catches it, very much leaning out and trying to catch a ball falling forwards, dives forward, gets 9, converts for the first down, gets shoved in his face by the opposition, not flagged. He laughs at them like he's some sort of mad man, just, he's a mad person. I loved it. Then the Lions go run to kill clock, field goal good from 49, 11-point game, 17 seconds left, lateral drill, Hawk fumbles at the end, recovered by Detroit in the ultimate irony to finish. You were both nodding away with me when I was talking about that Jefferson play. Any argument at all there that that's a touchdown Vikings as long as they don't blow it?
That was a terrible call. Absolutely awful. I don't know how they got that one wrong. He was several feet in. Because I thought it had been called dead for a flag on them. That's what the initial assumption was. Like, oh, well, flag's on the field. They've blown it dead because Minnesota are about to get penalized. And it's just like, no, it's on the defense. I'm like, okay, he definitely didn't go out there. Yeah, that was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. And yeah, you've got to admit that we got a stroke of luck there. Whether it would have changed anything in the long run, who knows? But still, you've got to admit when a call's bad, and that call was atrocious.
Yeah, that was a bad call. And then I agree. To go for 1 point on the touchdown, which was a simple out route by KJ Osborne, like say, beats to the corner. Just weird. If you get 2 points there, you know what you need to do on the last drive. It's pretty simple. If you score 8 points there, you know that you can win with another touchdown, 2 points. To not go for it there means that when it comes to the end of the game, if you get the ball back in the red zone, you've got a big decision to make, and you've just got plenty more things running through your head. They could have simplified things a lot more for themselves by going for the 2 and getting it. And then the Penny play was just funny, because I think Jeremy said that they tried it earlier in the game. They motioned Sewell, and he did a block. So they showed the defense it once. So when the next time they saw it again, they didn't expect the release. Makes a great catch. Like you say, the ball is high. He stumbles, catches it, and turns on. He does get lucky. It looks like he tries to slap the defender like in the helmet right in front of the official, but then they both just smile it off. Like I say, he's chippy, he's aggressive. So when like you say, he's arrogant, he's boisterous, and I love that about him. And that play was just a big middle finger, like fuck you, Vikings. We're gonna see out this game, and we're gonna do it by laughing at you. We're going to take one of the most freaky athletes that college football has ever seen, and the NFL has seen. We're going to ask him to run a route like he's a tight end. He's going to catch balls better than TJ Hawkinson. And yeah, run, field goal. And that was all she wrote. That was it. That was Finn.
The true genius of that Sewell play, though, is by lining Penny up as an inside tight end, you are giving off the impression of a run because you're obviously thinking, he's the sick lineman in the, it's third down. They're trying to kill clock. Penny's in an inside tight end. There's no way they're going to throw the ball to him. This is an obvious run play. And then from the second he goes in motion, you can see all the linebackers like, fuck's he going? Well, I mean, what the hell's he doing in motion? He's not doing anything there. And then you can see the corners and the linebackers. He just runs straight past them. They don't even stop to consider the possibility that he's a receiver. So by setting him up where you do, they are lined up to deal with a run play, and then you soon put him in motion, and then that defense is completely out of sorts because it's got no one out there to stop him. Because the second level guy's not going to assume for an instant. He's trying to blitz. He's trying to stop the run as quick as possible. So, yeah, it's just pure genius on that part to line Penny up there as that sixth man. It's, you just will not see it coming. Like I say, it was just the best. A big middle finger to the Vikings. Like, yeah, you want the NFC North. You ain't fit enough for the NFC North. Go win it somewhere else. Send you home with your tail between your legs, and Jalen Reagor avoiding Twitter for the next 6 months until Lions fans stop roasting him. Why are we underdogs for this game? That's why you're underdogs for this game, because we gave you the last one. We're fully healthy now. You're in our home. We got kick your ass. We did kick your ass. That's why we were favourites.
The Lions win by 11. And just on talking points for this game, first one I want to bring up is kind of interesting because it was a game of two halves on offense for the Lions. And I don't know whether you guys really felt this during, but it's kind of obvious once you say it. But at the half, the Lions were being beat out in time of possession convincingly. They had a deficit of about 6.5 minutes in the first 30 and ended up winning the game in time of possession. In the first half, the Lions weren't really thinking too much about the short balls. They had their defense on the field a lot of the time because their 2 touchdowns came with massive plays through the air. Second half in the game, they were taking all their check downs, their small play action passes, and really dominated time of possession, but through the pass game. So 2 different ways to win the ball in the air. And the other thing was just that they stayed aggressive, went ahead. They knew the running game wasn't working, and they didn't try and force it down their throats, but took the path of least resistance. It was a mature performance, both halves, by taking what was there and adjusting your strategy to the situation and what the defense gives you, boys.
What turnovers and red zone defense do for you? We said in the preview last week, or I did, time of possession doesn't matter against the Vikings. The Jets won it by like 6 points, 6 minutes against them. They had like better offensive statistics in nearly every single category, except the third down conversions and the third down stop rate, just the critical areas that mattered. Didn't matter that the Vikings had the ball more than us. They drive the whole length of the field. We forced a fumble. They had another drive the length of the field, had to settle for field goals because our red zone defense on the whole was quite solid. So, Kirk Cousins can get all them garbage yards if he wants them. If you can't convert them into touchdowns, as we did, then it's kind of irrelevant, really. But I think just the overall arcing feature of this game, like I said, is our team did everything it could to help one another. The Vikings, they didn't. The defense couldn't make stops, couldn't get off the field. The offense faltered at the most critical times, right before the half. Should have had a touchdown, gave the ball away. They did not complement one another. The special teams tried, but the offense and defense were not on the same page. And they just got bullied. They came thinking that they were going to roll into our house and win the North, and they weren't ready for a fight to do that. And we were. Like I say, if you don't come for a fight against this team, you're going to lose. So, yeah, I wasn't surprised that, time of possession was not a thing. It's what you did with the possession you had. And we said in the preview show for the Lions, it was critical that they converted their chances on the day. And they did. And they kept it to 2 scores. I mean, what was the stat that was getting used all the time? 10 points decided the last 4 iterations of this fixture. We go out and win by 11, 12. We were decisive. We were dominant. We didn't give them the chance to get lucky like they did against the Bills. When you keep them at arm's length, misfortune will not befall you. And that's what we did.
Plus, the Lions now have stopped 2 of the best backs in the league. We shut down Saquon Barkley and we stopped Dalvin Cook. When you play the best teams in the league or some of the best offenses, you have to pick your poison. Some teams try to play the Vikings and try spread themselves too thin and try stop the run game, try play too tight to Justin, try to take away everything at once, and eventually they falter. Like I said, the Lions had a game plan. We are going to stop the run and we will just go damage limitation. Like I said, Justin had all the receiving yards, great plays, but not in the red zone. Between the 20s, Justin Jefferson, we barely got a finger on the guy majority. But when it came down to it, we buckled up and he barely got a sniff inside the 10 and 20 yards. And like I said, Dalvin Cook didn't get anything going all day. Like you said, he had a miserable day. He's had 2 awful games against us, dislocated his shoulder. He's had 2 fumbles. He's been stopped twice now. He's going to realise now that we're not going to roll over and have our bellies tickled. Mattison as well, he got bottled up too. The defensive front, like I said, Isaiah Buggs had a really slow start to the season. But in the last month, he has really stepped up. Where Michael Brockers has fallen off a cliff, Buggs has just stepped in and gone, I will be the veteran leader. I will step in, and when I need to, I'll put my body on the line. And another week where I'm really impressed with him. Another guy that wants a second deal, wants to be retained, like the free agencies, like I say, Mike Hughes, Deshaun Elliott again. Like I said, those free agents that their future is not yet secure, don't know where they'll be next year, putting in the work they've bought in, and they're playing like they want to be here, not just for money, like they actually like the culture and they actually want to be a part of this growing. So the additions that we made are really starting to like step it up. And now we're getting to like this business end of the year, that whole meaningful games in December that we're not used to. Like they're buying in, they're all in. Like I say, we want as many of those as possible. And right now, I'd say we are probably, I'd say we're top 3 most feared teams in the league. No one wants to play the Lions. Like I say, the defense is good. It gets turnovers and it can hold as well as it needs to. The offense can go short, milk clock, extend drives, or now in the last few weeks can just hit you deep. Can just explode on you. Like I said, no one is going to want to play us if they've got anything on the line. And betting odds, let's say, if we're favourites against the Jets, I don't want to see Jets fans complaining because we've earned the right to be favourites now. We're putting good teams away comfortably and we're healthy. So, yeah, the next 4 teams on our thing, I feel sorry for, like I say, if any of them underestimate us or think that they can spoil our party, like you say, we're going to literally put a foot down their throat.
Yeah, and sort of the added bonus is we can play without fear. We have nothing to lose. It's one of the few positives about having a bad start, and the expectation kind of goes. We're not expected to make the playoffs. I mean, maybe there's a little bit now, but every week we play someone who has something, actually tenable on the line. The pressure's there for us. We can just go kick ass, and if we win, then our odds go up a little bit more. But that's kind of the wonderful position we're in at the moment. I mean, if we win 1 or 2 more, I think some pressure will start to come, and then it will be interesting to see how the players start when the talk really starts happening. But for now, we have no pressure, and we have everything to gain from it, so it's great. But I'm with you, Ryan. I mean, Bugs Bunny and Kamish, they're really making me doubt whether I need to take a DT so high in the draft at the minute. I mean, whisper it quietly, but I think the trenches might be set. I think it's a case of we might not need to go in the trenches, especially early on. Let's go out, get some skill players. The offensive line is kicking ass at the minute in time. Did it with Stenberg today. Stenberg had a really good game considering he's been dropped and bought in and that. And he pass block well, run block well. Defensive line is creating pressures. It's creating havoc. I think they both need to stay. Bugs and Kabish, both, they need to find a way to try and get them to stay. And just hopefully they're not going to play that well that the contracts go up to a point where we can't afford them. But I think they're lowering the need for a DT drastically at this moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Let's see what else we've got here. One thing I picked up on was there was lots of screens in this game for the Lions, but they actually worked. One didn't, notably Chark had a tackle for a loss against him. But he also had one that succeeded. Amon-Ra had that sort of thing as well. Or just misdirection in general. If it wasn't screens, it was the Amon-Ra jet sweep. It was Sewell and catching that. There was lots about the Lions that was just about not trying to give the Vikings a conventional offense to deal with. And if you are going to play soft zone and not really pressure too much in the second half, then maybe it's the best way to take advantage of a defense like that that's not going to be particularly ambitious.
Oh, the Lions' offense is getting better because
it's
becoming less predictable as well. The Lions' offenses of the latter years have been very, very, very predictable. Not enough pre-snap motion, not enough guys that are in interesting positions that could do something with the ball. Like I say, so Ben Johnson and like I say, the passing team coordinator, they're getting guys moving and it's throwing defenses off. And the best teams are the one that can confuse teams and just keep them moving. Like I say, if they don't know what's coming, then they're never balanced, they're never set, and they're always on the back heel. So right now, I expect to see between now and the rest of the season lots of this. Like I say, I expect Sewell's going to catch a touchdown. I can see Jonah Jackson getting some running plays, like I say, because he's very athletic and he's a good, fast, strong guy. I think he'll get some extra looks. So I think we're going to start to use some guys in really creative ways going forward.
I think we've just got such a wide variety of skill players on the offense. I mean, JMO coming back's just been a game changer. I mean, how scared did they look when he was on the field? They sat back and, they had no idea. That first play, I think, kind of scarred them for the rest of it. But I mean, what was interesting from the Vikings, they gave no help to their secondary whatsoever. And that is kind of, I think, the most dangerous aspect of this team. Everyone says Jared Goff can't throw a deep ball. Everyone says Jared Goff can't hit it. Everyone was mocking, saying, oh, yeah, well, what's J-Mo going to do with Goff throwing at him? Well, joke's on you fools. He can actually throw to them. But they left their secondary one-on-one with our guys. Why? Because they were still stacking up against the run. Because we are a team that runs the ball down well and is to be feared. And despite the fact we had our deep threats on the field, they still went after the run, which opened up the passing game. And that's, defenses have had it easy against us in recent years. We've not had the deep threat. They have just stacked the box against the run, put us behind the sticks, put us in situations they can use their pass rushers and nullified us. You can't do that now. If you are going to sit there and stack 6, 7, 8 men in the box and you're going to leave your secondary vulnerable, we're going to punish you for it. But then if you start dropping your linebackers into coverage and start putting more back there, we're going to run the ball down your throat. It's a very, we've got multiple dimensions to our offense now. We ain't the Titans. We are a team who can legitimately run the ball to an elite level, and we can now pass the ball to a very high level. And that's just going to cause nightmares for defenses going forward. And it just means Ben Johnson's playbook, is as big as the yellow pages. He can call whatever the hell he wants, especially when he uses so much motion. Now he's using offensive linemen. How the hell do you counter it as a defensive coordinator? Lots of guys this season have tried and failed, and the only ones who succeeded did it when we had no Swift, no Jameson, no Amon-Ra, injuries on the offensive line. They did it by default almost. This offense fully healthy, I don't think you can scheme for it because you just don't know what you're going to get.
It's true. It's really hard to scheme against. I have no idea what you're going to do as a defense, but maybe we'll come on to that on our Jets show. Hopefully we'll have a Jets guest to talk about that with, because we have a good relationship with the Jets UK podcast, so fingers crossed we'll get them for that. So look out for that on Thursday. 2 up, 2 down, gentlemen. Who do we want to give a game ball to?
Ooh. This is tough.
It's really tough because there's so many people that you can award one to. But you know what?
What? Oh, sorry.
Go. You go.
I'm going to give a big up to Jared Goff. He is the leader of this team, and I think the team is following. It feels like he truly is in charge now, and that the team are following him as a leader. And I think this one, more than any, was an indicator of that. The way that he put himself in harm's way, running the ball, leading by example, showing he'd take the hit, not putting the ball in danger. I don't really remember many, maybe except the one thrown behind Chark, which could have been picked. The ball security was good, and he sliced them. He sliced the Bills. He sliced the Jags. He sliced the Vikes. He is on such a hot run of form at the minute. And the offense is as good as its quarterback. And the quarterback has been outstanding. So I give a big up for him. On the defensive side of the ball, I give it Hutch. I think Hutch is just in a league of his own now. It took a few games, which it will do for a rookie, but he stepped up and made the big plays when you needed to. I mean, there was the I call it a half sack with Houston at the end of the half, but big play to stop the Hail Mary, stop it even trying to happen for you. Big play. The huge tackle for a loss to move them to 2nd and 17, where we kept them to a field goal in the fourth quarter. Hutch stepped up, made that play. He then also threw Cousins to force the ball away awkwardly on that play. It's 2 big plays on a really critical drive. And he had various other pressures throughout the game. He had another sack in the game. It feels like, he's the guy now, and he fully believes that he's the guy after slow start. And, we've needed that swag on edge for ages. So I'd give Goff and Hutch the ups for this one.
Anyone that you want to call out?
I mean, No, I don't. I don't think I would. I think all three levels of the team were good, and when a team's playing well like this, I kind of don't really want to. I mean, I'll give one to Williams, the in cornerback who's not going to be here tomorrow. Idiot. You had a good chance to come in here and make a name for yourself, get some playing time. You won't get this at any other team, and you ruined your chance. I think I would give one to him, but out of all the other starters, I don't think I would. There's a lot of them making me eat my words at the minute. I mean, Bugs has been outstanding, and I was worried about his tackle rate when he came here. Anzalone has been amazing. The amount of hits he put on Cook in this one, he had Dalvin Cook on toast, Alex Anzalone did. It was just, I just think it was an all-round great performance. I mean, and I don't really like down when I feel like it's an all-round great thing.
Brian, 2 up, 2 down.
I'll say up Mike Hughes. I say he had 2-3 good quarters. Yeah, he gave up some receptions, but ultimately they didn't really do much harm. Like I said, the touchdown to Thielen was probably the biggest flaw, but other than that, he's been fairly solid. And let's be honest, the position has seen a lot of turnover this year. We've recycled a lot of corners, so it's been one of those carousels which makes life really difficult when you don't have guys that play together constantly every week. So I think Hughes had a good week. The offense, Josh Reynolds had a good comeback game. Josh Reynolds has had the injury, but before that as well, bit of a non-factor. Before he got hurt, like you say, he was struggling. He had a few drops. I feel like he made some good catches, which extended drives this week. Down, honestly, I think to throw Armani into that point and not expect him to give up big plays, he was going into that game cold when he got called upon when Jeff, like you say, had sickness. So, of course, Justin killed him for a few weeks. Chris Board started well, but then really faded. Like I say, the first half came out like a bat out of hell, but then he struggled. But no one really I can fault this week. All the depth guys really came in, did some good jobs. So yeah, just happy overall.
All right, for me, I'm going to give the first one to Taylor Decker. Much maligned start of this season. Obviously, he got paid a couple of years ago. He really showed out in the first year of that deal, and then regressed at the start of this season. People were saying, oh, maybe we should have traded him. And you know what? He hasn't given up a sack in the last... hasn't given up a pressure, in the last 5 games. That's exceptional. That ain't just mediocre left tackle play. That's exceptional left tackle play.
It's sacks or hits, not pressures.
Beg your pardon. Okay, yes. But either way,
yeah,
he's had a fantastic time of it, and long may that continue. He's a cornerstone of this offense. Stop trying to get rid of him. He's really, really fucking good. Game ball on defense, I am going to go the way of Isaiah Buggs. The guy had the highest rated pressure rate on the game. Not Aiden Hutchinson, Isaiah Buggs. 93.1 grade. He had 5 pressures on the game, which was 2 more than any other Lions player on the day. From the interior. Absolutely exceptional game by him. I got to admit, even up to this game, I still wasn't a believer in his ability to come back next year. I thought, yeah, you've been good as a backup option who's had to step up. But you know what? The longer it goes on, the more I'm starting to be convinced by him. I got no one to shit on in this game. No one. I mean, so Okuda obviously had flags and what have you, but like with a lot of guys, they were ill, could barely play. Fair play to Okuda for actually stepping onto the bloody field, because he clearly wasn't right. And you could see the difference when he was and wasn't on the field, even when he hit someone out of bounds or had DPI on the end zone. You have a look at Mike Hughes whiffing on a tackle for Thielen for the touchdown, or Jerry Jacobs being beaten in coverage. And Hughes and Jacobs had good games, but those little individual plays, Jeff doesn't tend to give those up, and you do see it when he's not on the field. I want to
Yeah.
shout out Jerry as well, though. Jerry had that pass break up to Thielen. He had the sack. Fantastic game by him. All over the field, it was really good. Lots of people.
They matched him against Jefferson.
I know.
That is a big ass call to match him on Jefferson, and he held up against him pretty damn well. That's such a Jerry. He continues to amaze. Just when you think he can't amaze you anymore, he kind of notches it up another level, and it's like, Christ, if you did a redraft for this year now, he's going like round 2 or 3. Easy. He's not an undrafted free agent compared to some of the scrubs who came before him. He's a day 2 pick without a shadow of a doubt. And we got him for free. Didn't even have to invest a pick in him.
Other people, some of the guys in the
Jalen Rager. Jalen Rager gets an honorary match ball for being a massive dick and giving us all the enthusiasm we needed to win that one. He should get an honorary game ball.
What else do we have in the chat that people were saying? Jared Port says game ball to the special teams unit. They had a fantastic day on both sides of the special teams. It was really, really good. Who else did we have?
We need to shout out the head coach. No one is talking about this, but Dan Campbell schooled Kevin O'Connell in this game. In every facet of the game, he had his number. And no one is talking about it because most of national media are too embarrassed to, because they've all rubbish Campbell in the past, and they've all blown smoke up Kevin O'Connell's arse for being an offensive guru. He's the young, hip guy, not the old meathead like Dan Campbell is. But Dan Campbell completely and utterly outschooled him, and no one's talking about how great he is becoming in that aspect of a head coach. He deserves a hell of a lot of credit for this one, and his team in general is doing well. But Kevin O'Connell got took to school yesterday, and Dan Campbell made him look stupid.
Right, we did have lots of questions from the chat, so I'll try and keep this short because there's quite a few of them. I won't take any more now, so don't try and put any others because we've been going a while. Ken Stouder asks, Raw the Lions UK, top 4 picks in the draft per position, DT, CB, S, LB is my current guess. What are you thinking so far? I mean, Ken, I might be tempted to shoehorn a wide receiver in there, potentially, depends on Chark's status, but otherwise I like your list. Anyone else got any opinions on the top 4 needs for the team, or top 4 picks that we might go in which direction?
I think running back goes second round. I think this team needs a running back. Like I say, we struggled yesterday despite recycling 3 backs to get anyone that could really change the game and break off. Defensive tackle first. No. Unless it's Will Anderson. No. I'm now not taking Jalen Carter because now I feel like we've got a bit of depth, and I'm very much on the cusp of writing off Levi, but Levi could have a miraculous 3rd year. I don't know. I feel like he'll probably be back. Like I say, I'll cross that bridge next year, but no, I think I'd go wide receiver 4th. I agree. I'd like another receiver. I'll take a running back in the 2nd. I will take cornerback with our own pick. Give me Porter Jr., give me Kelly Ringo, give me Devon Witherspoon. I would just like to address getting a cornerback 2 that's strong enough to play man coverage and can be the final piece. I love Jerry. I just feel like we just need another one there to give him a bit of competition. Because Armani will be gone. Ife doesn't look like someone that might be there long term either, so we still need position there. So yeah, but I'd take Will Anderson 4th. So it's going to be edge or QB. I'm not going interior defensive line. They seem to be winning me over.
Yeah, I'm drastically shifting my focus to skill players now. I mean, I think this rebuild in Detroit's a bit different. I think, again, I've said this many times, the way you package Detroit is that if you as a player can come here with second chance this is a chance for you to rewrite your history, come here, play well. And if you do, you get a chance in the team going forward. You don't get discarded. And it's not roster building like you normally do. And with Bugs and with Kamish, I think they both look like they've got a new lease of life here. They both look really damn good. Bugs over the last month has been great. Before then, he was poor, but over this last month, if he carries it on till the end of the season, he deserves a contract here going forward. That is why players will come here, because they'll see we'll give them the chance, not just get a few good games out of them and send them packing. Same with Kamish. He's been great all year apart from the injury. So I think the trenches are set. So I'm looking at corner, high, simply for depth. No word against anyone on this team already, but Amani's going. Hughes, who knows? We need good corner depth. So I'm taking one of those. I'm probably taking a linebacker as well, somewhere along the line. This is just, that's in my top 4 at this minute in time. I'm taking one of those. I'm going to take... I'm taking a running back like Ryan. I think I'm going to get my hands on one of the best running backs I can. And I possibly might go after a receiver. I maybe a guard, but it depends. Possibly it's between guard and it's between receiver. It depends where Quentin Johnston's sat when I'm picking. If he's in an area that I feel gives me value, I'm taking him. And if not, I'll go after Puka Nasua later in the draft and I'll take him instead. Because Williams, Nasua, and Amon-Ra will be the hardest trio of wide receivers in this league. They will kick your ass all day long. In fact, I think Nasua might be the better fit here, but I still love Johnston. But I am taking trenches out the equation now.
Going to try and keep this short. Ashley Soden on Twitch asked, who scares you most on the Jets? More on this on Thursday. If we don't have the same guy, I'm questioning your sanity. Who scares you most on the Jets?
What? Like on offense or defense or just in general?
General.
Carter. I remember Michael Carter from college, and he has the potential to be a bulldozer on his day, so you have got to keep him quiet. I don't care about the QBs. I do care about him.
No one. Don't care any of them.
So, for me, it's Garrett Wilson, and it's not really close. He has an astonishing ability to keep players alive, even when he's getting absolutely hammered. Somehow, he still manages to keep his feet. I think he could do us a great deal of damage. I don't think enough to actually lose the game, much like Jefferson didn't lose us the game yesterday. But Garrett Wilson...
Depends who's throwing the ball, though.
Yeah.
Mike White is a gunslinger. Mike White will be the QB that can hurt us the most. Zach Wilson's a little pussy.
Hopefully it's Flacco, because he's a statue, and our new pass rush will annihilate him.
Could do.
Yeah. None of their QBs worry me at all, really.
No.
John Ball asked...
Zonovan Knight had a really good game this weekend. He's an underrated back.
He is an underrated back.
He'd probably get a lot of carries.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. It's nice for you to talk about the North Carolina State alumni. Thank you. I just have to get that in there.
John Ball asked whether there was any injuries for the Lions from yesterday. It's still just all illness related. No one, I don't think, picked up any knocks or anything like that. Kabinda had to leave the field for a play, hobbling, but he came back in, so I think he's fine. I don't remember anyone else going down, boys.
There were a few injuries. I believe a few of them cracked their ribs from laughing so hard at how bad the Vikings were. So we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Shook is in the chat and asked, did any of you guys play youth football growing up? Were or are there any places to play American football at a youth level? Now, I know that schools generally don't play it, and if they do, it might be flag football as a change of pace, but it really isn't played at a school level at all. They do run youth camps centrally, so the NFL Academy does do like youth outreach stuff, especially in London, but not really nationally particularly. I know, Ryan, obviously you still play, so I don't know if you have any more wisdom on this.
There's lots of flags teams. You can only play from like the ages of like 13, 14, 15 up. That's when you're allowed to play contact in the UK. You can pad up from about 15 up, but most programs that struggle for players anyway can't even afford a youth side. So it will depend on your age, but no secondary schools, no primary schools, nothing like that. It starts at university or a good city with a youth setup. So no, it's quite bad actually. There's really very few opportunities to children to play it.
Well, we all play rugby at school, so I think rugby's kind of the contact sport in that regard. That's at least what we did up here.
SW Lion asks, Raw the Lions, what do the Lions have to do to improve their rushing attack? With the success they're having throwing the ball, you would think that would open up opportunities to run. Obviously, the Lions struggled to get going last week, but I actually think that the run game in general this year has been particularly efficient. So I think it was just one of those games where the Vikings sold out against Jameson Williams, trying not to lose the game that way. I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, yesterday's performance is not indicative of bad performance. Like I said, the Vikings knew we had deep threats and still they chose to attack the run because that is our bread and butter. But no one has seen this offense fully healthy. And that's the advantage we have at the minute now. They just think we're going to carry on running the ball until we prove them wrong otherwise. And like I said, the Vikings, they didn't get wise to us passing the ball. They didn't give us a reason to not pass the ball. You have to throw the odd run in here and there to, cause confusion and whatnot. But yeah, yesterday's performance is not a negative against the run game. It's the fact we didn't need it at all, and they sold out against it.
Yeah, they just did a good job. Someone slowed it down. That's fine. It'll bounce back. It just, like I say, end with another addition or two. Like I say, it'll be fine again next year as well.
Two more questions, both concerning the right guard position. One from Brent DeWitt, who says, ROTL, do you think we should bring back Big V for one more year and draft an O-lineman as backup?
Don't bring him back, but I'm drafting one.
If you bring him back, then don't draft one. That's the thing, because you've got depth guys here. Kramer will come back. Brown will probably take another deal. Stenberg, you've still got on a rookie deal, so don't waste a pick on backup if you bring him back. It's a tough one with V. He's very well respected, very well liked. He has the rapport with Penei Sewell, but the contract is just a bit too big, and we need to find money for the off-season because we're going to struggle if we don't. And he just strikes me as the one who's going to unfortunately sort of bear the brunt of it. Because with Goff playing the way he is, I don't think he's going nowhere, which means all these other guys on high contracts are prime targets to get cut now. But personally, I'd like to see him back. I'd like to find a way to see it done. But the injury history, I can understand if they get rid of him.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. If he's fit and he comes back in camp and has a full camp, I think you should keep him. I just think he's the best option for it. People forget that he played really bloody well before he got injured. And the injury was a bit of a freak. It's not like it's an endemic thing to him. Now, he has had his fair share of injuries, but I don't think they're all the same one. It's not like they're all soft tissue injuries or anything like that. So I think he's going to be... I don't know whether he's going to be okay or not. He may come back, and if he's not fit for the start of camp, get rid of him before and draft someone. I think that is the way to go, but there we go. Cool Down Rat asks, Logan Stenberg played 100% of snaps versus the Vikings, and did it prove anything? That's the question. Exactly how it was worded.
I think it did. I think the only time you heard his name called was the holding penalty, which we disagreed on, but I thought was complete bullshit. And even if it was, Chark got in his way, so I don't think it's on him. He had a mistake-free game. Goff had loads of time in the pocket, and you've seen plenty of all 22 today of the protection he got. Stenberg is part of that. It's what he got panned for earlier in the season. So I think it's shown that there's something there with him, and I would continue to play him for the rest of the season. I mean, it was weird how they said Skipper was the guard on the graphics. I thought Skipper were playing for some reason, but keep him. The worst that can happen is that it doesn't work out and you need a right guard in the draft if you don't come back with Big V. The best thing that can happen is that he balls out for the rest of the year, show that he's part of this team, and then you can cut Big V and you don't need another guard. So it's great for the cap, it's great for the team, it's great for him. I think he had a really good game. When you don't hear his name called and your quarterback ain't getting sacked, that's a really good game for an offensive lineman.
It proves Dan Campbell was right to keep him around for nearly 3 years, because the first 2 seasons, it looked like a total write-off. Barely saw the field. We were told that he's not progressing. He's struggling to learn the playbook. He's not making the jump. And now, right guard is still a huge question mark. Evan Brown's picking up niggles. Tommy Kramer's come off a lengthy injury. Matai is 1 aging, 2 a good earner. So there's a lot of guys here that just won't make it. And let's say if we're keeping Goff, this team currently has got very little cap space because it's tied up in guys. So some people are going to have to go. So Stenberg, I would just like to say, I agree with Van, just shoehorn him in every game. I won't see Skipper back, Coyote. I won't put him back in the game, any of them. Unless there's injury, I'd give Stenberg just a start now and let him try win the job. And then next year, if they're both healthy, let him just full on battle it out. Like I say, I'll keep the guys like Eze and Coyote because they're the youngest and they've still got a lot to learn. So I'm not writing any of them off, but Stenberg doing well is bad for Evan Brown and Tommy Kramer. Like I say, if he can learn that position and he can provide valuable depth for a draft pick, then some difficult decisions are going to have to be made next off season. And a lot of them, I think, have to be on the offensive line.
Yeah, that's the end of the questions, guys. Anything you guys want to get off your chest before we head into the ether?
Pretty sure. Does Dan Campbell not have more wins than Matt Patricia did in conference now? Just wanted to bring that up.
In division?
In division. I call it conference, I do college football, you know what I mean.
I know, but NFC actually means something as well at the NFL level, so I just wanted to qualify. NFC North wins.
He's either level or got him, yeah. I think so.
Well, we're 3-1 this year, and he beat the Packers last year.
Vikings last year.
Did we beat the Vikings and the Packers? So he's got 5.
Yeah, he's got 5 NFC. Yeah, I think Patricia only got 3.
Only had 3.
Yeah,
yeah.
So I think he's above Patricia. He's got more than Patricia already. We're not even through season 2.
Absolutely nuts. And you know, we've done it with style. I mean, we need to end 5-1 in division, we really do. But we've got a great shot to do it. We're playing the Bears, who are tanking, and the Packers, who should be tanking.
How crazy. We could be 5-1 in conference and miss the play. That'd be crazy. I'm not going to think about that yet, but, you know, I feel like we're getting the respect we deserve now. I think that's the nicest thing about all this. The conference now respects us, or at least they take more attention to us. We're not the joke anymore. We're not the class clown. We are the new kid who, you know, is hard to beat. So it's just good that we're finally getting the attention the team deserves. I think it's long overdue, but it just feels so much more special because it's Dan. You know, it really does. This is what we all wanted.
It is. Right, I think that's going to do it, folks. Our next episode is going to be this coming Thursday, probably. Haven't decided 100%, but probably going to be this Thursday. It's going to be the Jets preview show. Do come and join us for that. Hopefully we will have some company on the Jet side of the ball, so you'll be as informed as you can. College Football Podcast is coming up, guys. I know you said you were going to wing it earlier on, but just refresh our memory on what you might be talking about this week.
The Heisman's been decided. Most of the college football position skill awards have been decided. We chatted about the finalists last week, so we'll probably talk about that. We might do a conference review for the season as well. Just go through the conferences, see what went up there. Maybe quickly mention the Army-Navy game, and then we've got some player scouting and stuff to do. So we'll come up with a show eventually. It'll be good fun regardless. So come join us. Ask us your draft questions. We're in that season now, so college football-wise anyhow.
Yeah. As always, if you're live in the Twitch and YouTube chats, stay where you are because we're not going anywhere for you guys on the podcast. Don't forget to follow us on our socials, Roar the Lions UK on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. The group on Facebook for worldwide fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. The preview articles from Ashley Soden come up on roarthelionsuk.com. Please don't forget to check that out. Please do as well subscribe and rate us at 5 stars on your podcast provider. the more ratings, the more help you can give us and show, we get such great viewership live or on the audio pods, and it would be lovely just to hear what you think about the show and what we do well and not so well and whatever. Just love to hear the feedback, so please do. Otherwise, just remains for me to thank my co-hosts Ant and Ryan, Matthew Turner, and happy Victory Monday. I hope you've had a good weekend, and the Lions are still in this, guys. Let's go, One Pride.
Fuck the Vikings.
One Pride.
Recording stopped.
All right, there we go. Still live, obviously. I'm gonna, as I always do, just pop off for 2 minutes. So I'll see you in a sec.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave. He's getting restless.
Fair, Ryan. I'll see you.
I'll see you on Wednesday, Ryan.
I won't be on Thursday. Yeah. I've got my work to do Thursday, so I'll be on Wednesday. But I won't be on
Yeah. You're all right for Wednesday.
So I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah. I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yep, all good.
Take care, buddy.
Bye, guys.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. No, I'm not going to do the whole thing. Oh, I love these Victory Mondays. Aren't they just the best? That 1-6 run feels like so long ago at this point in time. It's absolutely glorious. 5-1, playoffs alive in December, and we're talking about meaningful football games. And I actually feel confident with this team going on the road. This is some kind of turnaround from Dan Campbell. You got any questions about anything, college, Lions, whatever, just put it in the chat. I am here with you for the next few minutes till Matt gets back. Matt Hicks goes, makes the week so much easier. Yeah, damn right it does. Makes the week a lot more enjoyable. You can spend Sunday night and Monday talking trash to the team you've just beaten, and then you can look forward at the team you're going to play next week and start talking trash to them. It's all a good laugh. Brian says, coaches who have added the most win probability added above expectation on fourth downs, 2 parts, timeouts. Yeah, I saw this. So Sirianni's first, then Dan Campbell, McDermott, and Harbaugh. Yeah. No one's laughing at Dan Campbell now, are they? All that talk about him being a meathead, that he never knew what he was going to do, that he'd never work out with the Lions. It's why the national media do not talk about him, because they all know that 1 billion receipts will be ready to be unleashed at them the second that they do. Cool that Dan's going to be on the Pat McAfee show tomorrow. That is always a good laugh. Jared goes, this kind of football travels. They can go anywhere and win. Yeah, you can. And when you've got an offense that is this diverse, everyone thinks we're going to run the ball on them. So they'll sell out against it. And now we've got J-Mo and DJ who will skin your best quarterbacks alive for big yardage down the pitch. Amon-Ra will attack the middle. It's such a varied and unique offense we've got here. And we have one of the most up-and-coming play callers in the entire NFL. So you mesh all that into one. Donatel had no idea what he was doing against us. They had that good first drive where they stopped our run once and got a bit of pressure on us. After that, they had very little success against us. So, it's crazy as to what they are. I don't know what the time is for the interview, Ken. They usually release the guest schedule about half an hour before the show. So I've no idea, but it'll be sometime between, I guess it's 12 and 3, your end of the Atlantic, and 5 and 8 ours. But I will tune in for it. SW line. I think that's how the players feel about Dan Campbell. They will go through a wall for that guy. Yeah. Put it this way, when you've got the fans ready to go through a wall for you, then I think you can pretty much show that you've sold your vision there. And the players are just playing hard. They're playing incredibly tough. And it's when you've got no pressure on you, when the team's playing hard, when the team's talented, it's healthy, it's confident, it's the perfect situation to be in, because you can just go out, express yourself as a football team, play hard, and teams can't deal with you. So we're in the perfect situation at this moment in time. Obviously, it's going to change next year. I think the more wins we rack up this year, we'll go into next year with a renewed sense of optimism, and pressure will be on to start well. The schedule will be a lot harder because it looks like we're going to finish at least second in division this season, maybe third, but schedule will be harder. So it brings a new set of pressure with it. But as far as this season's going, it's a rousing success so far. You want to see the young players develop, which these last two draft classes just look absolutely amazing for the most part. You want to see them win games. Well, 6 games on our belt, doubled last season's win total, still got 4 games to go, favourable schedule. You could realistically end up winning 8 or 9. That's a big tick next to that. Just keep building your roster. Every objective we wanted this season, we've achieved or we're about to achieve. So it's turning into a very positive season overall. So yeah, we are in a really good spot.
Fantastic spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, at 1-6, you've written the season off. Anything from there is a positive, and the fact that we're mathematically not dead is a massive positive. Like, you know what? If we don't make it, so what? You can feel so positive going into next season. But really good point made in the chat from Jared, just saying this kind of football travels. They can go anywhere and win. You don't lose this kind of gritty toughness by going away from home. You just don't. The crowd is helping, but they're not being carried by it. They're being clinical.
Oh, we went to MetLife and won. We've been on the road and won this year. And like I say, the only way you can beat this team is to have a much better roster so that the skill kind of drags you over the line, or you bite kneecaps harder than we do. And sorry, but no one bites kneecaps harder than we do. So yeah, it is. And it's a dangerous side. Like I say, there's no expectation on this team. Even if you get into the playoffs, no one expects you to win a game. No one's giving us that level of respect. So you'll be on the road with the 7th seed. So you will be going to someone else's turf. All the pressure will be on them to beat the little old Detroit Lions in the playoffs and get themselves a bye through to the meaningful playoff games. And they're going to come out, they're going to start getting kicked, and they're going to be like, oh, God, this is meant to be a gimme. I don't know whether I've got the stones for this or not. So you are a very dangerous team. I don't think any genuine pressure gets exerted on this team until they've won a playoff game. That is when the pressure starts. But until then, this team can just play with freedom and confidence and not care in the world.
So in terms of getting into the playoffs, we know that we need 2 of the Giants, Seahawks, and Commanders to go 1-3 in the remaining games. Let me just read out these games to you. The Seahawks are facing at home the 49ers, away against Kansas City, at home to the Jets, at home to the Rams. Now, 49ers and Chiefs should be 0-2, and then they need to win both of Jets at home and Rams at home, which they should, but the Jets are going to be fighting for their lives as well. So, Seahawks is a really hard place to go away from home. But them going 1-3 is very much in the realm of possibility there. Like, I can see the Rams just deciding to turn up for once in a meaningless game in Week 18 with everything on the line. We'll see what happens with that, but I think that's eminently possible. The Giants are playing the Commanders next. So one of those teams is 0-1, or they get another tie, which would be even more fun. It would actually...
Does that screw us over, though? Does that count as one win?
A tie would... Both of them having 2 ties, I think, counts as 1 win, but that would be good for us.
I guess it means we claw back a half game, doesn't it, on both of them?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so the Giants, after either winning or losing against the Commanders, go away to Minnesota, at home to the Colts, and away to the Eagles. So let's say the Giants lose the first game. They probably lose to the Vikings away. They probably lose to the Eagles away. They are 0-3 with the Colts game coming. They could lose out, or they could be 1-3 by beating the Colts. I don't think that team beats the Vikings. Even though I think the Vikings are frauds, I think the Giants are pretty fraudulent as well. There's no way they're beating the Eagles unless they rest everyone in Week 18, which they might. That's a risk. But the Giants could eminently go 1-3. They could go 0-4. The Commanders, they obviously, as I just say, face the Giants. They're then against the 49ers away. Then they're against the Browns at home. And then they're against the Cowboys at home. So they either win or lose against the Giants. That's one. But losing against the Niners, Browns, and Cowboys is definitely possible. Now, the Browns obviously the easiest game there, and it's at home. But how often have you seen Nick Chubb take over a game? Or let's say Deshaun Watson actually decides to play football instead of whatever the hell he's doing right now.
He's shaking his rust off, so...
It's absolutely possible that all three of these teams go 1-3, and the Lions could be like the 5 seed if they run the table.
All right. Let's. I am injecting Kool-Aid directly into my eyeballs at this moment in time, but even now we just need to be calm. But yeah, it is eminently possible. But obviously, we've just got to uphold our part of the bargain. That's the main thing.
But what I'm saying is, if all 3 of those teams go 1-3, then the Lions only need to. They can lose one. They don't even have to run the table.
But even if we're the 5 seed, would we still get a road tie? I guess
5
we
seed
would.
gets a road tie against the 4 seed, and the 4 seed is likely to be the Buccaneers or the Panthers.
I would fancy us to beat the Bucs.
Or I'd fancy us to beat the Vikings as well, but I think the Vikings are going to be the 3 seed, which means you'd need to be the 6, because I don't think they'll overhaul the Cowboys for 2. I think the Cowboys will probably get there. Cowboys would be the worst.
I don't want that. Don't put that evil on me. No Vikings, no one we've played recently in the playoffs. No Seahawks getting screwed by flags. No Cowboys. No none of that. Give me someone new. I don't think the Bucs will make it though. I would call the Bucs frauds, but they're just bad, and we know they are. So it's not really fraudulent when you know.
I don't even think the Bucs are going to make it. I think it's going to be Carolina.
Hey, you know what? I know who I would take. I'd take the Falcons. If the Falcons sneak in there, I would take a game against them because I think we kick the Falcons' ass.
So the NFC South right now, the Panthers and Falcons are 1 game back from the Bucs. The Saints are only 2 games out of the division lead. And they're atrocious. Like, if the Bucs lose their next game, you could have a 3-way tie at the top of the division at 6-8.
Like the NFC least last year, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. It's awful. The Buccaneers...
Can we call it the NFC Gone South? That's what we can call them this year.
Shook says the NFC South will play one of the Cowboys or Eagles, whoever doesn't win the division. No, they won't. Because the Cowboys or Eagles in the NFC East, whoever... Oh, yeah. No, you're right. They'll be the 5 seed. I beg your pardon, Shook. You are absolutely right. They'll be the 5 seed, and the Lions will be the 6 seed. So if the Lions are the 6 seed, then they'll face the 3 seed, which will be probably the Vikings.
I'll take the Vikings again. You mind saying that?
No. It's right or wrong. The Vikings will be the 2. Vikings will be the 2, won't they?
You can't play in conference in the wild card, can you?
Yeah, you can.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
So who will be 3 if it wouldn't be the Cowboys, would it?
No, so I think the Cowboys would have to be 5 if they don't win the division. So I was just being an idiot. So it will be the Vikings at 2, or it will be the winner of the West, who is the 49ers.
Did you think a month ago we'd be having this conversation? Even in jest?
No. The thing is, I think at about 25% the Lions are underrated to get there because of how well they're playing right now. They should be favoured to go 3-1, and you have a look at the Seahawks, who are hanging, but they're kind of falling off a little bit. The Giants are falling off a bit. The Commanders are the one that I fear because they're actually playing good football, but they activated Carson Wentz. If Carson Wentz plays, the Commanders do not make it.
Their season.
He will. Why did they activate him? Why even bother?
I know, it's a waste of a roster spot. If we beat the Jets and Panthers, then I think we do it.
If we beat them, then we're above 500 for the first time this season, right?
Yeah. And the first time we'll have been above 500 in December for probably since me and you were born.
No.
No, it's been a while.
Cool.
Oh, don't. I love Jim, but his name's getting dragged up again, and it just starts annoying me.
Yeah, I'm not putting his name out there for nostalgia. 3, 9, and 7 seasons. He did well here, and he deserves to have that respect.
He does. But it was not good enough.
Brian says, "Give me the 7 seed over the 6. Rather go to Mini than San Francisco." In fact, even with Brock Purdy at quarterback, with the Vikings, the frauds that they are, maybe San Francisco gets the 2. Because San Francisco go to 9-4 with the Vikings at 10-3. They're only 1 game behind.
Tell you what a story is Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant.
What a performance yesterday.
He was average at Iowa State last year. He was average. He did not look great. I'm surprised he was drafted, but, Shanahan has a system that protects the quarterback. When you have such an evolved running game and such good uses of motion and everything, it's hard to get after a 49ers quarterback. And I think that puts him in the best position to succeed. If you threw Brock Purdy into like the Panthers or something at the minute, I think he'd be dead in a week and he'd be discarded. Yeah. I feel like San Francisco is the place where he can go and be successful because the focal point of that offense is not the quarterback, with all due respect to it. So, fair play to him. If he can carry that on, that'd be great.
Let's get away from the Lions and just talk about Monday Night Football. Pats, Cardinals, isn't it? Any thoughts on that game?
I'm put it this way, it's not one I'm enthused to stay up and watch. It's one that I will probably watch in the morning instead. I mean, I used to love Kyler Murray so much, but that Arizona offense, it needs a new play caller. It's stagnant, it's horrible, it's backwards, and I know it wins games, but I always find the Cardinals so hard to watch these days. And the same with the Pats. I mean, Mac Jones throwing out audibles saying Patricia's crap. I mean, this doesn't figure to be like... I'd set an over-under of about 38 in this game, and I would feel quite comfortable defending that. I don't know about you, but I feel like that would be the ceiling on my bet on my over-under.
I think I'd go slightly higher. I think I might go for
39.
Well, I was going to say 42. I'll see what the official line is now, because I'm intrigued now that you've mentioned it.
It's not that I'm not a fan of the Pats. I saw that in there somewhere. But I'm not a fan of Matt Patricia. And I wish every conceivable, in terms of his coaching career, ill on him possible. I hope that offense is trash and continues to be trash until, like the trash compactor that he is, he gets kicked out of town in a garbage can and never gets a job in the NFL again.
So the Pats favored by 2.5 points at Arizona, and it over under of 44.5, which seems
I wasn't far off.
It does seem high.
I'd smash the under in that.
Especially considering Thursday Night Football coming up, 49ers at Seattle, the line is 43.5. Lower than this game.
I mean, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But they're just not two teams that interest me at the minute. Through all the other NFL stuff, I know we do all the line stuff. There are teams that interest me and that I like to watch. The Cardinals were it last year. I watched a lot of the Cardinals this year, but I've kind of tailed off them now, and the Pats are the same.
So
I've tailed off them a bit.
Who are your teams this year that you're enjoying watching?
So I enjoy watching the Eagles. I'm not going to lie there. I think the Eagles are a really good team. I enjoy watching. What do I enjoy? What have I watched a lot of this year? I enjoy watching Chargers games. Not necessarily the Chargers themselves, but they're usually involved in quite good games. And Justin Herbert is really good. But I mean, I've not really watched a hell of a lot of the rest of the NFL unless I've been doing previews for our shows this year. There's no outstanding team to watch. I feel like in the AFC, they're all taking wins off one another, and it's not great. In the NFC, it's kind of a couple of good teams and some really bad ones. You got to think about it. The 49ers are really good to watch as well this year. The defense is just a monster. And, if D'Amico Ryans gets a head coach job, they just keep creating head coaches at that place. It's incredible how they do it. And you know what? For as much as people rag on Garoppolo, I actually like the 49ers offense with him in it. Because I think he's a game manager, but I love sort of the tactics they use, the schemes they use. It's a lot different to everyone else. But yeah, there's no outright favorite I've got this year. Just a few that I sort of enjoy. But yeah, Pats and Cardinals not up there. They're right at the bottom with the Bears, the Titans. I refuse to watch them. The Broncos. I think the Broncos have broken everybody. I hate the Broncos. I hate watching them.
But they actually were interesting yesterday.
I did watch some of it. Obviously, the Chiefs are in town. Fantasy points for me. Yeah, it was good. But I still don't like them. I mean, we haven't really talked about this, but what do you think the odds are of the Lions getting flexed into prime time before the end of the year? They've got to be in consideration now. They're one of the hottest offenses. They're one of the most informed teams, and that Panthers game could have serious playoff implications for both sides.
Absolutely, but I don't think the Panthers will get flexed. If one gets flexed, it'll be week 18 to see whether the Lions get in. That'll be the game in Lambeau. That'll be the only game I see getting flexed.
I don't know. I think the Lions are a feel-good story right now.
Maybe.
And I think they're a damn sight prettier to watch than, I'd say, at least 17 or 18 other NFL teams.
So, in line with what Ash was telling us about the rules for flexing games when they're at
12 days.
Is 12 days. That means tomorrow is the deadline for the Panthers game to get flexed. So, we'll find out very soon. I could see the Bears or the Packers getting flexed because they're in-division matchups to kind of decide these things, but they're not as exciting as the Panthers, given the Panthers, if they win, could take the division lead at that point. So, if you have a look between the Panthers and the Bucks as to who is the informed team, it's clearly one answer, and it ain't the Bucks. Looking at the NFL and about teams to like watching and not like watching, the Bucks are near the bottom of the league for me. They're almost unwatchable at the moment. I love watching the Panthers. They've been just a storybook kind of tragedy in the early season with how bad things were going there with the coach, but it almost made it fun to watch just to see the calamity. And then since they sacked the coach, they've been great. They've been really good. So that's always
You know
good.
what? Wilkes was the one who got screwed by Arizona, wasn't he?
Yep.
He seems like a pretty genuine guy who could be a really good head coach. You kind of hope they stick with him.
Other teams... Sorry.
Yeah.
No. Other teams I like watching. The Jags. I've actually enjoyed watching the Jags this year for the Trevor Lawrence step up. I mean, yesterday he was absolutely fantastic.
Do you notice how few people have mentioned that? We walloped them last week, yet between our game with them, they beat the Ravens and they kicked ass again yesterday. And no one seems to have mentioned, oh, well, Detroit battered the hell out of this team. Seems to have kind of gone unnoticed, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
It shows how big that Jacksonville win was. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't we beat a bad team. We beat a really good side who were on the same upward trajectory we are, and we beat them very convincingly.
We did. The most convincing game I've ever seen as a Lions fan. The Bengals I always enjoy watching. They're just a fun team. The Dolphins are a fun team as well. So for a Bills stan, so a Josh Allen stan, I've not enjoyed watching them this year. They're just a gritty team. They're like us, but without the excitement.
I just feel like the Bills are the Bills every year. They're just a very pass-heavy team who never take the run game seriously, and it always comes back to bite them. And it just feels the same. It doesn't feel like they adapt or evolve, and I don't have fun watching them. I think their division in general, I don't enjoy watching the Jets really. The Pats, meh, there's Patricia there, and the Dolphins are all right. They're fine, but I'm not really that interested in that division. It's a bit meh. Yeah. Or I think it's close. I don't know who's even top in there. Is it the Bills? I'm guessing the Bills are top.
10-3 Bills, 8-5 Dolphins, 7-6 Jets, 6-6 Patriots. So the Patriots, if they win, go above the Jets on a tiebreaker.
So it's still pretty close then. Only two
Oh,
games
yeah.
between bottom and top.
Well, with the Jags being second in the South on 5-8, with the Bengals and Ravens being 9-4, but no Lamar Jackson and no Tyler Huntley for the Ravens, they should fall off. With the Chargers being second in the West on 7-6, the Jets and the Patriots have good shots to make the playoffs. They just have to win some games down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I swear down. Speaking of fraudulent football teams, are the Ravens not absolute frauds?
Yes, they are.
They've stolen wins against the Broncos and the Steelers when a semi-competent team would have beaten them on both days. They lost to the Jags, and then I think before that it was the Panthers who were useless against them. But they're getting into Tennessee fraud territory, as in the biggest frauds in the NFL. I do not rate the Ravens at all.
No, and with no quarterback, they're just going to suffer. Like, they can't win any games. I just don't see it. Because the thing is, it's an offense predicated on having a rushing quarterback. Because the wide receivers are not fantastic. The O-line is merely just okay. You need Jackson. Otherwise, that team ain't shit. So,
yeah,
they could lose out from where they are.
Yeah, I think they will. I just don't think they're good at all.
No. Anyway, I'm going to have to draw this one to a close, man, and get cutting, because I had a late night last night, because I actually stayed up to watch the second slate of games yesterday, and I was dead this morning for work, so.
Fair dues. I'm still deciding whether I'll watch any of tonight. Sometimes I'll watch the first half, go to bed, watch the second in the morning, so I may do, but I will probably regret it. I just,
yeah.
Arizona needs it. Arizona needs to hit the reset button. Get a new offensive coordinator, just new coach in general. So, meh. I'm not a Pats hater. I'm a Matt Patricia hater. I'm sorry that your franchise is getting involved in it, but wherever Matt Patricia goes, I'm going to hate. You have no idea what it's like to live for 3 years under that man. Tell him, Matt. Does it not scar you for life and give you feelings of utter hatred towards him?
Yeah, I mean, he turned us from a franchise on the brink of playoffs to ruining us for years. It was... And the thing is, it wasn't overnight. It was gradual. It was like watching a car crash happen in slow motion. It was...
death by 1,000 cuts. It's death by 1,000 cuts. That's what it was. And it still hurts. Yeah. So, soon as he leaves, I'll treat the Patriots fairly again. But until he goes, whenever he's there, sorry, you're collateral damage in my hate train.
Right, good luck to Miss Bell and her Pats tonight. Hope you get the dub for you, not necessarily for Patricia, but, you know. I will take the collateral damage to myself for the Pats getting a win. To be honest, I'll take any AFC team over any NFC team down the stretch. Apart from in Lions, I want all AFC teams to win.
Fair dues. And I will have to get to looking about what the hell my uniform is going to look like next week if we win again.
We'll put a thought into that. Right. Cheers for staying with us for the last 20 minutes or so after the show and for listening us all the way through. Any questions, any comments, email address on our YouTube channel. Get in touch. Love to hear from you. Otherwise, stay safe. See you on Thursday for the preview show and the college show maybe on Wednesday. And
it's definitely
Wednesday. Right. I'll see you soon, man, and have a fun week, y'all.
Ta-ta.
Ta-ta.